Nice.
You could say bye too, Spencer.
Oh, bye. See, that was a really good. That was a good like catchphrase you had. I didn't know what to do after that.
You gotta listen to the show, dude.
I started listening to one episode maybe a month ago, and you guys just kept going on about like baby poop for like a good 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I gotta get off of this.
Yeah, you better get ready.
I'm not ready for this.
Nick, this is what you put at the beginning of the episode. What we're doing right here.
We might have to do that. That's when we're going on 15 minutes about baby poop. I'm like, which one was that? But anyways,
I think it was the one about losses. I think
the losses.
I think it was that one.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Josh.
And this is the PUDs Podcast. I don't know what to say. Usually you're already talking when we start.
Yeah,
So.
all right. This is a serious episode. We need to get right into it.
I'm very serious. What you been up to?
What's up, man? No, not much. T-ball, work, other adventures in my life. You know, big stuff.
Hearing ghosts in your headphones.
No more ghosts. The ghosts
and being insistent that it's coming from my microphone.
It's coming from your mic. We're not gonna rehash this. We're not bringing it up again.
It's done. It's dead
done
for today.
That conversation's over.
Yeah.
What's up with you, man?
Nothing much. Just chilling. We'll push this to next episode because I really liked your idea of the topic tonight. But I did get out over the weekend with a friend of the podcast, Mike Trokey. Bagged isolation for the spring in boot spurs, so did a pretty big hike on Saturday. It was a beautiful day, and on Friday night, stayed in New Hampshire before and got out to Pondicherry Wildlife Refuge, and also got out to Square Ledge and Pinkham Notch. So, like I said, we'll delve more into those in a future episode. But had a lot of fun, and otherwise just been plugging away and dealing with the insane amount of pollen that seems to be everywhere outside. Everything's yellow.
Yeah. And Rylan came over and hung out and played with Jeremiah, so that was really cool. I got to.
Yeah, heard she had fun in the bouncy house.
Yeah.
Had some chicken nuggies. What else do you need in life?
Yeah, she had a blast, dude. She had a blast. Oh, I got my ancestry back, too. I got my ancestry results in. You ready for this? Ready for this?
I'm ready. Are you ready, Spencer?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm waiting for him to say that he's mixed, low-key.
Yeah, he's
I'm going to guess you're mixed European.
So, for those who are wondering who Spencer is, we have a special guest tonight, and that's my good buddy Spencer. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Glad to be here.
Dude?
Thank you for inviting me on the pod.
Thanks for joining
us. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks
for coming on, man.
I'm ready. This is a topic that I couldn't just leave on the table. I had to jump in.
Don't say what the topic is.
Strong opinions.
Don't say what the topic is. Spencer was invited on because this is a very big. We're gonna.
The topic is there is no topic.
Yeah, we're gonna unpack something really big today and something that he's got some passion for. So we're gonna get into that with him. But as far as my ancestry goes, so 45% Portuguese, 15% Irish, which I didn't think I was any Irish my entire life. So that's kind of a blow. Even though everybody would tell me you look Irish, so I was just.
Wait, why is that a blow?
I was denying the red hair. I was denying it. I don't even have red hair, so I don't know why people are always saying that. 14% English, 14% Scottish, 10% Sweden, 1% Basque, and 1% Wales. So very white. Very white.
Yeah.
I burn easy.
You're very British.
Yeah, I'm very European.
Yeah. You're more British than I am.
But
by a lot. I'm just Irish.
But I had a relative that was born on the Mayflower, so I am America.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty neat.
But yeah, so I thought
you've been
that
here for a while. Cool. That's neat. It's cool to know that you had a relative on the Mayflower. So your lineage goes way back.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much I can trust the family tree thing, but it is kind of cool going back and seeing like who you're related to and what they were up to and where they came from. So it was pretty cool.
Neat. Well, now everybody knows, and anybody that listens to this podcast will now know who you are.
Yeah. All right, you ready to get into this big main topic?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's do it. what
main
is
topic that you had tonight?
Yeah. So we as you notice, we skipped Nick's music moment today because we're gonna take a whole hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however long it takes to unpack the Apple top 100 albums of all time list. It's obviously outraged many people, I think, and I think it's worth discussing. I think a lot of people are discussing it. I think it's very buzzy right now, and
It's definitely a hot topic.
It's definitely a hot topic, and we invited Spencer on, big time music guy. Right, Spencer? You into music? You like music?
Oh yeah, big music guy.
Yeah.
Play a little bit, dabble a little bit on the guitar, play a little bass, do a couple things.
Oh yeah,
Excellent.
Nick is also an axe man.
Would you say you're an axe man?
No.
Someone put a gun to my head, I'd have to say I'm an axe man. Yeah, I play guitar too as well.
Nice.
So I got a couple
man.
musicians on with me tonight. I played the saxophone in 6th grade, so and then immediately forgot.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you really though?
I did. And then I immediately I had my own solo and everything. And then I immediately
First chair type vibes?
What was it?
First chair?
Oh yeah, first chair, baby. First chair. I was leading the brass section.
You tore up Hot Cross Buns. Tore it up.
It was,
and you'd also be in.
You'd
also be in the woodwind section, not the brass section.
Yeah, whatever.
BT Dubs.
Whatever. Anyways, I definitely was the first chair. I was the only chair, and I'll have you know, it wasn't Hot Cross Buns. It was Watermelon Man. So take that.
Oh,
that's a good one. Okay.
But so we're gonna unpack this beast of a list. There's gonna be some outrage. There's gonna be some good discussion, but I mean, we'll start from the bottom and start making our way up. And if there's anything that sticks out to you, we'll stop and talk about it. But the first thing that sticks out to me is I don't even know who this first person is at 100.
Same.
Robin, the album Body Talk by Robin in 2010.
Yeah.
Robin with a Y too.
With a Y.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Me neither.
Yeah.
How can
I feel better about not hearing about it because I'm like, it can't just be me that's living under a rock with that. So, yeah, never heard of it. Never heard it mentioned. It's relatively new as well, which I think is interesting.
2010. College. We're in college. Spencer's 5 years old, maybe. How old are you in 2010, Spence?
2010, about 10, 11.
He's 10 years old. This man's 10 years old. We're in our heyday. We're like in the big times of our lives where we'll probably listen to the most music. Like, Robin? Who's Robin? Batman's sidekick? No. This is
with a Y.
With a Y.
Yeah,
it's got a Y in it. Oh, my Lord. Yeah, so we'll skip right on past that. 99 is the Eagles. This is Melissa's favorite band. How
Hotel California by the Eagles.
Yeah, Hotel California by the Eagles. What a great album.
1976. I think this probably should be ranked higher than it is. I think it's, I don't know. Anybody has other thoughts on it? I wouldn't rank it a lot higher, but higher than just barely making the list. Again, the contrast too, we're talking about an album that came out in 2010 versus 1976 and how it's held up. How do you think Body Talk by Robin's going to hold up in like 50 years? Any guesses?
Not well. I mean, it's not holding up well after 10 years, like 14.
Yeah. Yeah, again, that's something that's really striking me on a lot of this is I feel like you need a good bit of time to assess this. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. There's too many good musicians in Hotel California, too, to be like at the bottom of the top 100. They're definitely...
Yeah, between Joe Walsh, Don Henley.
Yeah. Glenn Frey.
Glenn Frey.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
They
were all generally successful solo artists as well. I think by that point, or pretty close into it. So
it belongs on this list. And I think it's... I mean, I guess if I could pick the 100 greatest albums of all time on my own, I don't know where it would fall. It would probably fall top 70, maybe, I would guess. Like,
yeah, same feeling. I wouldn't argue that. I guess I feel okay about it being on here and like relatively where it is, but the fact that it just made 99 above an album in 2010 seems odd.
Yeah.
I think that's the most stark thing.
Yeah, it definitely deserves to be on the list. I agree. Not sure where I would put it, but like the fact that the song "Hotel California" is probably one of the best songs of all time. If that was like a list, which probably is, but also the fact that the Eagles' greatest hits album is like literally the biggest selling album of all time, like even more so than Thriller. So it's hard to like imagine that same band having one album at 99 on the best albums of all time.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and on that greatest hits, I mean, we don't have to get too much into it, but I'd hazard a guess that probably 4 or 5 songs on that are probably from the Hotel California album.
Right.
So, I mean, you got Life in the Fast Lane, Hotel California. I'm trying to think what else was on that. I don't know, but yeah, this is it's a pretty solid album front to back and very influential, I think, to many people growing up. And like you said, Spencer, too, it's still on the radio today. Like, I think we're just talking normal FM radio stations. I'm sure it's getting played like at least once an hour somewhere in the United States.
Easy.
Which is probably actually a gross underestimate, but I'm sure it's getting a lot of radio play still.
I don't want to spend too much time on the Eagles for Hotel California, but I just have a quick story. I fell in love with this song because when I was 16, I got my first job, and it was at Price Right. Okay, Price Right, for those of you that don't know, was a discount supermarket. Okay, and I was a cashier, and on the 1st and 3rd of the month, when everybody would get their food stamps and get their Social Security checks, I would never see the end of my line, and it would be miserable. And the only thing that kept me going was every 7 minutes, I knew Hotel California was going to be back on the speakers. So I love that song. But Spencer, I'll let you take the next one because you were kind of raging a little bit about this one before.
Yeah, raging. That's a good word to use for this artist here. Well done. So yeah, at number 98 we have the good brother Travis Scott with Astro World. Yeah, I mean it's just, I mean I'm not really a big Travis Scott guy, but to be on the top 100 greatest albums of all time, I mean, seems really crazy. I mean, there are some good songs on there, like, you know, I like Sicko Mode, you know, it's cool, but
yeah,
that I don't think that should be on. I don't think that should be on this list. I mean, I guess I could see from, you know, maybe other people my age who are more into, you know, Travis Scott and kind of that sort of music than I am, maybe they would put it on here. But this, when you talk about the all time thing, though, that's kind of what ruins it. If it was just like a hip hop list, then maybe. But if you're really want to talk about every genre, like I don't think this sees like maybe even top 500.
I don't think Travis Scott even makes a top 100 hip hop list. If we're talking top 100 greatest hip hop albums of all time, Sicko Mode might be the only song that I know from Travis Scott.
That's the only song that I know.
Yeah.
Granted, again, I'm not a big fan. So
yeah. So I don't even know if he makes a top 100 hip hop list because there are people that were excluded from this list, hip hop artists that were excluded from this list that I'd say are much better than Travis Scott.
And there's more impact too. Like there's no Run DMC. There's no like Eric B and Rakim.
Yeah. There's no Lil
They
Wayne.
had one Outkast album too.
Yeah, only
So
one
I was gonna
Outkast.
be like,
And I don't even think I don't even think that one's their best album. That's so crazy.
No, I agree with you on that.
So
too,
crazy.
But
97 is Rage Against the Machine with their album Rage Against the
Self-titled.
Machine. Yeah, self-titled album, 1992. I think that's actually aptly placed. I think it's fine. I think
as much as they're one of those artists, as much as I'm not a giant Rage Against the Machine fan, I should say I love Tom Morello. I think Rage Against the Machine generally, a lot of their songs sound the same in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think you do have to respect that. They're pretty damn popular and pretty influential, and
right.
it's kind of tough not to know a song by them. So
Right.
Yeah, and I think most of their big songs that you think about are probably on that album, like Bomb Track, Take the Power Back, Give Me the Name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're good right where they are. Number 96, we got Pure Heroin by Lorde, 2013.
Now, when she says heroin,
try
does
not
she
to
mean the drug or does she mean like a female like hero?
it's
I was looking at that and I started to wonder.
I think that's a female heroine, but I think there's what do they call that, a double entendre
Yeah,
kind of going on there. There's
okay.
definitely, there's definitely a thing going on.
She's being
there.
a little tricky, Spence. That's
Well,
why she made
Yeah.
the list. Because she used a little wordplay there. Oh no.
I mean, I remember that song. I think it's called Royals.
Yeah.
Was like
Yeah.
massive when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only song by her I have ever heard
Right.
or know. I don't know what she's been doing since 2014.
She's been getting spoofed on South Park when Randy Marsh dresses up as Lord and pretends to be Lord so he can like get into places.
So I was going to say, and this is probably a good analogy, and also making me reflect upon the fact that Spencer is a bit younger than us. But when I was in high school, when I was a freshman, The Killers' Hot Fuss came out, and all you heard was Somebody Told Me and Mr. Brightside and probably Smile Like You Mean It. And I'm not trying to say that they should be on this, but I'm going to say more in attempts of like Royals is the only song off that album that I think most people know. And this is like another sort of, the Killers would have been like my sort of thing at that
For high
time.
school, yeah.
And they probably had at least 7 viable singles that went off that album.
Right.
And they're not on here. So
Right, and the ranking is all
Interesting.
about impact too. So it's like
yeah.
the song had a big impact, like the single, but
Yeah.
I don't know about the album.
Right.
And then as far as
Yeah.
2010s artists go, like there's no Bruno Mars on here.
Oh, good point, dude.
Like how are you gonna?
Is that
put
when
Lord
he,
and
is
not
that
put
when he
Bruno
broke
Mars?
out initially?
No, I think he first came out in like 2011 with that.
Okay.
And that was the album that had like Grenade and like,
Okay.
the Lazy Song and like all that stuff. And he was just
Massive
like
hits.
he was just on a tear through like the whole 2010s until now. Like
You can go to any
Smash
wedding
after
in this
smash.
entire country and there's going to be some Bruno Mars playing.
Yep,
Absolutely.
It's might be Bruno Mars playing that line.
Are they going to be playing Royals by Lord?
No.
Not like
Probably not.
The answer is no. You know who is? This is another one that you go to any wedding in the country and they're playing probably one of his songs. Number 95 is Confessions by Usher. I love Usher. I'm a big time Usher guy. Like, and that album's great. That album is fantastic. Does it need to be higher? I don't know. I mean, I think it's maybe a little too low. Could maybe bump up a little bit, but it definitely deserves to be on the list.
Yeah, I agree. I think too low. But yeah, definitely should be here.
This one has obviously Confessions. Let It Burn's on here, right? Like
Yep.
it's
You
a
got like the biggest,
Oh, yeah, you got Yeah
probably
with-
club song of all time.
2004. Yeah, I would listen to that song walking to middle school.
Speaking of weddings.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're our age or a little bit older,
Yeah.
that's
Every wedding you ever go to. But I would listen to that song every day. That album was fire.
Then don't you have My Boo on this album?
Ooh, I don't think so. I don't know.
Is that not this one?
Maybe, yeah. No, I think you're right. Like, what a great album. What a
Yep.
great album. But let's power through some of these other ones. Untrue by Burial. I don't know anything about Burial.
Never heard of him.
Nope, neither
All
have I.
right, skip. Shouldn't be there. A Seat at the Table. I want to talk about this one. Solange, A Seat at the Table by Solange Knowles. Beyonce's sister is on this list, and I couldn't even tell you. I forgot that she sang. Like, how does this make the list? And some of the snubs don't make the list.
Yeah, I was going to say, does anybody have any insight? Because I've never heard this album before. Does she
Yeah.
have any singles off that?
Yeah, I think the big song from this one was called Cranes in the Sky. It's like, I think this was a 2016 album.
okay.
Yeah.
So the story is pretty cool. It's kind of like the idea is like kind of her coming into like her own as like an artist, you know, not just being like
I'm not
Beyonce's
Beyonce's
little sister
I'm not just
or
Beyonce's
whatever.
little sister anymore.
But you have like Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest on there producing, and like Raphael Sadiq. So from just like a music perspective, it is really good. Top 100 of all time is a little strong. But I would say it is a really good album.
All right. Not deserving of the list, but deserving of our respect.
Yeah. That well put.
That sounds good.
That's fair. Number 92, Flower Boy, Tyler the Creator. And I actually like Tyler the Creator. He's weird. I'm kind of into Tyler the Creator, but I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't think I've heard anything by him.
Yeah, I'm not really up to Tyler the Creator too much. But I do know his last few albums have been pretty like hot. Like people seem to really be into it. So like maybe I guess if you're a certain age, you know what I mean, like this is probably like a top 100 album to you. But I feel like for just the world, for like a general audience, like this shouldn't probably be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure we're mentioning the years too, because I think the years are probably really interesting to people.
So that was 2017.
27. Yeah. It was, again, top 100 albums of all time from less than 10 years ago. That just kind of blows my mind on a lot of these.
So number 91, Lister Without Prejudice, Listen Without Prejudice, Volume 1, George Michael in 1990. I mean, listen, I like George Michael, so I'm into Wham. George Michael.
Yes, yeah, I would have thought it'd be a Wham album though. But I don't know what's on that George Michael album. I know he had, you got what was it, Careless Whisper? Is that this album?
If it is, I'm sold. If it is.
Yeah, no, me too. If it's not, that like that's really the only George Michael like solo song I feel like I know, or that like most like, or maybe the average person knows.
Yeah, I don't even think Careless Whisper's on that. I don't think Careless Whisper's on that album. So take it all back. Take it all back.
Never mind.
Number 90, Back in Black, AC/DC, 1980.
That's a big album. That's iconic for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, that Back in Black's probably their most popular song. I don't know if it's my favorite album by them, and I'm not a massive AC/DC fan by any means, but I mean, I'm okay with that being there. I feel like that is such an anthem, and many of the songs on that are really like pretty anthemic rock songs. So
yeah,
if they had 2 albums on here, I feel like that might be a lot. But
yeah, I'm not a big AC/DC guy, so I can't say too much about them. I mean, I think they deserve. I think talking about rock bands, they're gonna come up. So people that are maybe a little more into them might put them a little higher. But
yeah, I mean, just the guitar riff of Back in Black is like something I think anybody that plays guitar probably tries a whack at least once. It's pretty iconic.
Which riff is that?
Like okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I did a poor job of doing that, but there you go.
I got.
Yeah,
I didn't want to take like 5 minutes.
I got the gist.
It's one of those songs too. I feel like anyone's gonna like kind of like rock their head to. Like even if you're not a rock fan, like that rhythm comes on and you just like, okay, yeah, this is kind of hard.
Yeah, you can't help it.
At 89, we got the Fame Monster, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm not mad at that. Honestly, I'm not mad at that either. I don't think Nick's too happy with it.
Neither am I. No, I'm not mad about it because I mean that was like I remember because again we were in college. Like that was a massive album when that came out.
Yeah. Is that Telephone?
I think too to put in perspective to what she's gone on to do after that came out. Like she's been pretty successful artistically and commercially. So I mean I'm okay with that being on there.
Yeah,
I don't know about the ranking. I don't know if we're in the high 80s, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm not hating it.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that one. That one, I mean, that album has Bad Romance, Alejandro, Monster, like Telephone.
You can't really argue with.
Yeah, that was the sound of like that era, that early 2010s. Yeah, she definitely defined it.
Yeah, and she's like pretty. I don't know if captivating is the word, but I think she draws a lot of people to her. So,
agreed.
She's strange, and people love her. So, and probably has made an impact on a lot of people.
Controversial, yeah.
Yeah. I Put a Spell on You, Nina Simone, 1965. I got nothing.
Can't say I've listened to that one, but Nina Simone
I'm assuming that has the "I Put a Spell on You" song that
I put a spell on you. I mean, that's a jam. I'm all right with that, but once again, I don't know about that.
I mean, just guessing just based on her kind of legendary artist status, like it seems like that it makes sense to be on this list.
Yeah.
I couldn't really argue for its placing, whether it should be higher or lower, but like, all right, I'm fine with that.
See, I don't know about Nina Simone. Tell me about her, Spence.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't know. Insight. I don't know a ton either, but she was obviously she's a black artist, female artist too, in like the I want to say 60s, 70s.
Yeah. That plays. 1965 was that album, so.
But oh yeah, well anyway, yeah, I don't know too much about Nina Simone. I'm not really a huge fan of her music, but she kind of gets put up there with like the kind of Sam Cooke, James Brown kind of artists. So there was like a lot of like I think civil rights kind of overlap with her music and things that she was fighting for. So I kind of gave her like a kind of big spot in the sort of cultural like lexicon.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a good point, Spence. All right, she's on the list. I like her. Blue Lines, number 87. Blue Lines, Massive Attack, 1991. Any thoughts?
No idea.
Yeah.
No. Do you know who this is, Josh?
I have no idea who that is, dude.
Yeah, no idea.
I have no idea. So
can't weigh in.
I really couldn't weigh in on that. Yeah, we'll move on. Number 86, My Life, Mary J. Blige, 1994. I like Mary J. That album in particular, I can't really speak to, but.
Yeah, I like her too. I'm more of a Jodeci fan. Like, I would have been happier seeing, like, Forever My Lady or, like, Diary of a Mad Band on here. But that's a classic album, so
yeah.
I'm not mad about
that. I mean, I don't know if she makes like I said, I like Mary J. I don't know if she makes the list for me specifically. But, I mean, if Solange made the list, Mary J. Blige deserves to be on the list.
That's a fact. I'm not mad at this one.
All right, number 85, Golden Hour, Casey Musgraves. No? Nothing?
I've at least heard of that person, but...
Yeah.
2018. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. If in 6 years I don't even know who you are, get out of my list. Get out. Now we're on to number 84. My boy, Snoop Dogg with Doggy Style, 1993. Inspirational. Inspirational. This is what I'll say, right? Everybody knows this one noise. Everybody knows that, right? That's because of Snoop Dogg.
Generally.
Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, obviously, but
yeah,
it's I don't know.
Was that on Doggy Style though, or was that on Chronic?
I'm just saying in general. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. They call it the West Coast sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no West Coast sound without Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I agree.
Snoop.
Yeah.
We didn't even. Is NWA on here?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay. All right.
They are.
All right. I got too ahead of myself.
You're about to lose it.
I was about to lose it.
Like, ah!
All right. Number 83, Horses, Patti Smith, 1975.
Who? Don't know.
Nick?
So Patti Smith was actually pretty big.
All right, let's do it.
I don't know if I feel like it should be on here or not. I don't know her enough. I know that she's pretty popular and was pretty popular. Probably not as much my cup of tea as many other people, but yeah, I don't know. I'm unbiased on that one. I can't talk enough on it to like rip it apart or say what it is, but
all right.
Yeah.
82, Get Rich or Die Trying, 50 Cent.
Yeah, I think of all the hip hop artists like during like the 2000s. I think Kanye West kind of wins that battle, but like 50 Cent is probably second. Like, that album was huge. The album still rings off today. Like that's one of those ones that like these albums from the 70s and stuff that are on here. That's gonna age really well. That people just be playing forever.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I know 50 Cent gets a lot of hate kind of nowadays because of like he just is like very controversial at times, but this album was great. Like I would listen to this album front to back. Like
the music videos.
Oh yeah, and him and Eminem kind of doing that thing, and you know the production of those videos is going to be fun. Like they were going to be entertaining. Like, but that album was like it was so good. So good. Nick, this is your boy.
Yeah, you're gonna ask.
Number 81.
81 we got After the Gold Rush by Neil Young, 1970. Yeah, that's an iconic album. I mean, whether it's my favorite album by him personally, I wouldn't say that, but and it's tough too because with Neil Young, he was in so many bands like Neil Young with Crazy Horse, and you had gosh, the name's escaping me. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young when he played with Crosby, Stills, Nash. So I mean, he's been around a lot. I think as far as his solo work, though, I mean that album fully deserves to be on here. I mean, you could easily rank it a lot higher. I think depends on people's bias. After the Gold Rush, that song too has been covered by tons of people. The actual namesake of the album. So that I think that's a pretty valid thing right there.
Yeah.
I think if you were talking about all the albums he contributed to, if like we were to if we were to like take this about and make it like an artist list, which would be a different thing, I think he would be probably top. If it was more rock folk, he would have to be in the top 5 of the past like 50 years. Like I don't even think that's art. He's one of the best songwriters probably in sort of that rock folk genre of the last 50 years. I mean, I don't think you can really argue with that. I mean, all the artists that have been influenced by him are pretty countless, from like Pearl Jam to Radiohead to, I mean, yeah, he was iconic. I'm cool with where that is.
I agree. I'm a big Neil Young fan. Spence, anything on Neil Young?
I mean, I really only know the name. I can't say I've listened to his music, but I do know his kind of icon legend status.
Yeah.
So yes. Definitely much respect.
They keep you running for a heart of gold, and I'm getting old.
That wasn't bad.
Is that Neil Young? Is he here?
Yeah.
He might be here.
He's behind you.
All right.
He's in your headphones.
Number 80, the Marshall Mathers LP Eminem, in the year 2000. What an absolute banger this album is.
Yeah, that definitely belongs on here. You need that.
So I'm curious because you guys are, and I mean, I definitely had most of this album, I think, in songs back in the day off LimeWire or whatever. Yeah. But do you think this should be ranked a lot higher than that? Or what do you guys think? It being Eminem and being that's like his debut album pretty much, right?
If we're talking
anything before that?
Influential albums, right? If that's what we've kind of surmised that this list is. How many dudes dyed their hair blonde? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not even playing. Yeah. How many dudes dyed their hair blonde? How many guys started acting all crazy and middle fingers up all the time to everybody because they were influenced by Eminem and what his lyrics were saying? Like, it had a big impact on the youth of America in that time. Like, going into Burger King, spitting your onion rings. Like,
yeah, well, but getting, I remember at school, like, just straight up being banned.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of teachers and stuff just didn't want you to be taking CDs and stuff.
No. Yeah, it was, listen, I remember my friend had the album because I wasn't allowed to buy it, and we would just, that's all we would do was
parental advisory.
Yeah. And
that needed like 5 of those stickers on that thing.
It was a lot, dude. It was a lot. I think Stan's on there. Stan is like one of the greatest. I think that's one of the best songs, like rap songs of all time. How that tells that story, like, fantastic.
Dude, how many like white rappers do we have today because of that album?
Oh, for real?
The Mac Millers, the Jack Harlow.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Mac Miller. Jack Harlow's.
Post Malone, like.
Yeah, it made it like okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what like white rappers, like, I guess you got like the Beastie Boys, but other than that, like, what white rappers do you care about, or like does anybody even think about, or no? In a way that they take serious.
Eminem is way better than the Beastie Boys.
Exactly.
Let's just settle that.
Yeah, and
rock genre aside, he's just way better than the Beastie Boys.
We'll get to them somewhere down the list, but yeah, I agree. You guys are making good points.
But do you guys agree with where it is on there?
No, it needs to be, especially with the Beastie Boys are further up this list. It needs to be much higher than it is because we're about to get into some people that like, and there's a few on here that we're gonna get to that I also think need to be higher. But yeah, he needs to be higher up this list. Maybe once again, maybe in the like the low 70s, high 60s. 50s, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say, like, with the mixing the different genres.
Yeah,
and I think the other problem is, like, with lists like this is if something is higher than something else, it reads like the higher one is better. So
Right.
like you have like this Neil Young album at 81, like so that album is now we look at it like it's worse than this Bad Bunny album, number 76.
Yeah, I agree with you because I mean when you are thinking about the amount of albums that you get a reference, the top 100 really there isn't a big gap between a ranking to ranking. But
Right.
yeah, I totally agree with you. It's hard to look at it from that sort of perspective, it being a list with rankings. It's a ranked list, but
Right.
That's a good point, Spencer.
They took the time to sit down and rank them, so they must have thought that one of these was better than the other one. You know what I mean?
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just objectively just false.
Yeah. 79, talking about bad rankings, we got Norman fucking Rockwell by Lana Del Rey. I got nothing to say about Lana Del Rey.
Me neither.
Get her off the list.
Don't even really know who that is.
I like Lana Del Rey, but it being a 2019 album, no.
Yeah.
It's just
Get it
she
out
hasn't been around long enough. I like her
out.
voice. I think she's a solid artist, but just hasn't not been around long enough to be like this.
No.
Though apparently Bad Bunny just put out an album in 2022 and they're good
Yeah.
enough. It hasn't even been out 2 years. So
Here we go.
I don't know.
It's
Anyways,
probably
we'll
an all
get there.
Spanish album too, but
Yeah.
We'll get there.
somebody that needs to be bumped up the list is we got Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. What do you guys let's start with Elton John in general. What do you guys think about Elton John?
He's one of the best of all time. I mean,
Yep.
a lot of people would. I mean, was he? I don't know if he was the songwriter of the two, or if he wrote most of that stuff, or if it was Bernie. Nevertheless, I mean, he's one of the best artists of all time. Easy.
Yeah. On that album you got Candle in the Wind.
It's a banger.
Candle in the Wind is one of his greatest songs. You got Benny and the Jets, great, always on the radio. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, once again, one of his greatest songs of all time.
Got Saturday Night's All Right.
Yeah, Saturday Night's All Right's on there. Like, okay,
It probably should be
yeah,
a lot higher than it
needs
is.
to be higher for sure.
I feel like that's more of a middle. I wouldn't put it like maybe top third, middle of the pack. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Spencer. I mean, he's one of the greatest piano. I mean, it's like, speaking of which, is Billy Joel on here?
I don't
Nope.
know. He's not.
I mean,
no, he's not.
Elton John, though. I don't know. That's actually really tough to say. I was gonna say he's probably has more hits than Billy Joel does, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak in detail on that, but they're both pretty iconic, and he's not on here. So we got to get one of those piano guys in here.
Yeah, I would take Elton John over Billy Joel, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I would too.
Same.
All right, 77. We got Madonna with Like a Prayer in 1989. I'm okay with Madonna. I think that's all right. I think she's listed.
Yeah, that probably deserves to be on here. I mean, she's was kind of like the first of that kind of archetype of like the Britney Spears to come,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
Christina
Yeah.
Aguilera,
Poppy.
even like a Lady Gaga.
Yeah,
like,
that-
she kind of laid the framework, I think, for all of them.
Yeah.
with
Like
what
the-
she was doing.
The monster female pop artist kind of deal,
Right.
That like people were obsessed with,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Like, I mean, speaking of, girls trying to dress like her and be like her and talk like her, and yeah,
Yeah. Selling sex. Sex sells. That was where that started, probably, I would guess. 76, we got Un Veranto Sin Ti. Bad Bunny. Like you said, Nick, before, 2022. Get it out of here. Get it out of my face.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's only 2 years old. Now, I will say this. My fiance, Elena, who is Puerto Rican, has told me a little bit about this album. And in her words, she said that this is like, for her like generation, like this is the album that she and all the Latinx brothers and sisters out there are gonna be playing when they're like cleaning the house on like a Saturday morning. Like, that's the level of this for people who speak Spanish. So it goes. I mean, I don't speak Spanish, so it doesn't really speak to me, obviously. But maybe it
I don't
does
have a problem with
place
it.
on here.
It's the 2022 thing that I have a problem with, because it's like we're talking about an album that really didn't come out that long ago.
We're about to get another 2022. So just hold on to your hat, Nick. Hold on to your hat.
All right.
But yeah, at 75, we got Super Duper Fly by Missy Elliott. I love this song. I love that album. I love Missy Elliott. I think she's one of the, if like she is what Lizzo wanted to be. She wants to be Missy Elliott was a body positive, like she was out there, bigger girl, out there rapping, like making hits, making absolute hits.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Next, we got 74. We got The Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails, 1994. Anything on 9 Inch Nails?
I got nothing.
I mean, I'd say not pretty, very, very influential band. They kind of, I believe that was sort of the advent of the whole sort of industrial music movement and sort of mixing that sort of electronic with rock kind of thing. I think 9 Inch Nails is sort of one of the first bands to do that more in the more modern era. So
Yeah. Nice.
I mean, again, I'm not super into them. I know there's probably 3 or 4 hits off that album, maybe more.
Yeah,
so.
I've heard of 9 Inch Nails. I think I've listened to a few of their songs.
Yeah.
I can't
not
speak.
not necessarily my cup of tea, but I think they probably deserve a place in one of their albums.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Nick, this is what I was talking about. Number 72, SOS by SZA. SZA.
Whoa, you skipped 73.
Oh, Steely
Easy.
Dan.
Yeah, Asia.
by Steely Dan, 1977. You're a Steely Dan man, Nick.
My dad definitely was and certainly was. Yeah, this album's great. I mean, I think it's one of the best ever albums probably of all time.
Yeah,
so, certainly of the 70s.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think it's one of the coolest things about him too is he doesn't hide the fact that he was from New York at all because he has a super strong New York City accent, like straight up in it. But yeah, tons of talented jazz artists, and I think sort of that jazz fusion rock thing is super cool. And I'm sure this album was very influential to many people over the years.
Mm-hmm. And they're one of those bands too that would, like, if you don't know who they are already, like people hear them and like you wouldn't think they were white, like because they kind of cross over so well with black music.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Motown, like again, sort of that fusion thing going on of like a lot of different genres like across that album, and then you really just have a lot of like, I mean, quite a few hits on that one too.
Oh yeah, and it's only 7 songs too, which is cool.
Yeah.
A lot of these other ones were super long.
All right, 72, SOS, SZA, SZA, 2022. Get it out of here. Get it out of my face.
Yeah, I'm good. I haven't listened to it. I don't really know any songs by SZA. I mean, I know she's popular, but
yeah. All right, get it out of here.
2022.
Trans-Europe Express by Kraftwerk, 1977. Any takers? Going once?
No idea.
No idea.
What?
Get it out of my face.
Not even gonna pretend on that one.
Get it out of my face. Straight Outta Compton, NWA, 1988. We talk once again talking influential. F the Police.
The birth of Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E.
Yeah,
that was the birth of the whole West Coast hip hop movement, like that. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that has to be higher than that, right?
It's got to be higher than that. That and Eminem got to move up the list. And I know I'm biased. I'm more of a hip hop rap like R&B
but
guy.
even I'm not as much into hip hop, and I'm like, yeah, like you guys just said, that's like the birth of West Coast hip hop.
Yeah,
like literally right there, or hip hop, like literally rapping hip hop.
Yeah, that's
one of the first
influential.
Mm-hmm. And the movie was great too.
The movie was really good. The movie was really good.
It was.
Number 69, Master of Puppets, Metallica. This obviously has Master of Puppets on it. Big song. Got even more popular with Stranger Things. That was the solo that Eddie Munson played during.
That's the second album on here that had a song in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Just noting for those listeners at home or in your car or wherever, that's the second album.
Yeah, it's the second album, and we haven't even.
I think there might be a third, if I remembered correctly.
We haven't even gotten to the other one. We haven't even gotten to the other one. I think this is a better album.
Oh yeah, I think at least most people have a clue.
Does this have Enter the Sandman on it?
I'm honestly not sure off the top of my head. I've just been streaming like their greatest hits.
It doesn't.
Generally.
It doesn't. But Master of Puppets.
I don't know their.
Master of Puppets is
I don't know their albums well enough to like mention like a ranking on them, but like I don't think you could. I know some other people that like Metallica a lot and would have picked other albums, but
Yeah.
Is this the last one that the original bass player played on? I forgot what his name is before he passed.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
For the listeners, if you know, if Master of Puppets was the last album that the original bassist for Metallica was on, send us a chat. Send us a chat.
Dude, that bass line is epic.
Yes, it is.
It's insane.
All right.
Well, it basically is the guitar riff. That's what's cool about it.
Yeah. It's the whole thing. Number 68, is this it? The Strokes, 2001. Yeah.
Not familiar with
I've
that.
heard of the Strokes. Yeah. Go ahead, Nick. You look like you got something to say.
No. I really don't know them that well
good.
either.
Get them out of here.
I'm going to be honest.
Get them out of here. Number 67, maybe the worst on the entire list. Dummy by Portishead, 1994.
Wasn't Portishead a pretty big grunge band? Not that I know them that well.
Out of here, Nick. Get them out of here.
I'm just going to say, if they are a grunge band and Pearl Jam doesn't have an album on here and they do, it seems stupid.
I think
Black by Pearl Jam,
yeah. I think
a lot of hits, pretty epic album, so.
I think they are. Maybe like outside grunge, almost grunge.
Yeah.
Spencer, anything about Portishead?
I've never heard of this band.
Get it out of my face. Get it out of my face. The Queen is Dead. Number 66. The Queen is Dead. The Smiths. 1986. Nothing.
So I don't know the Smiths that well, but I know enough about them to know that this album was pretty influential. And a pretty big album. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Smiths were very, very popular. I think they're almost one of those bands, kind of like Velvet Underground's on here too. Actually, not too far from now, but they influenced a lot of bands, and a lot of people look to them. So I think that's probably a pretty worthy thing.
All right, Smiths, leave them.
Yeah.
Stamp them.
Yeah.
Keep them in there.
Yeah, I'll leave them on there.
Number 65, 3 Feet High and Rising, De La Soul. I'm a De La Soul guy, so
Me too.
I like De La Soul. Nick, any thoughts on De La Soul?
I don't know them that well,
No.
to be honest with you. So
Is this
are they rock, hip hop? What are they?
hip hop. Spencer, you know
They're kinda
anything
like
about this album?
Yeah, they're sort of like I don't know, maybe you could call them like a sort of alternative hip hop. So like they help kind of start this movement, like them, A Tribe Called Quest, Black Sheep. Of it's not like the crazy like gangster rap thing happening, but where they were just kind of like rapping about all sorts of other stuff, more like conscious stuff and like having fun and partying, like more chill stuff.
Is this the album with Black Sheep on it?
Oh yeah, it is the one with Buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're this is like definitely one of the biggest hip hop groups of all time for sure.
Yeah. Nice. And then we got Erykah Badu in 1997 with her album Baduism. I like Erykah Badu. I know she's a big time influential African American woman who she's a little different too. But I don't think I know this album. I don't think I know many songs on here. I probably only know a couple songs by her in general, but I know Dave Chappelle's a big fan of her, so if Dave Chappelle's a big fan of Erykah Badu, she must be pretty good.
Yeah, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with that album either, but except for the song On and On, which is probably the one that most people know by her. But yeah, no, she's a legend for sure, part of that whole like neo soul movement.
Yeah.
Those artists actually hate that term apparently, but like like kind of just coming up with like D'Angelo and the Roots, Mos Def, Q-Tip, and kind of all those artists.
Well said. Number 63, Are You Experienced? The Jimi Hendrix Experience, 1967. What can be said about Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, that's a good album. He's got a lot of big songs on here. I'm just like looking at the list now. I kind of thought at first that's the first track. I would have thought that they would put Electric Ladyland over this album, but
yeah, that's funny you said that because I was gonna say I think he really came into his own more on Electric Ladyland, but I think from a perspective of like this sort of introduced the world to Jimi Hendrix and how he sounded. And I'm totally biased because he's probably one of my favorite guitarists ever. And I think debatably, if he was still alive, it'd be interesting to see what he would have gotten up to. But yeah, I mean, it just introduced his sound to the world. And yeah, just I don't know. I think he changed how people would play guitar forever. I think he still is. Yeah. So
I think he's a lot of people's favorite guitarists of all time. And I guess let me say too, like, one of the bands that's not on here, Red Hot Chili Peppers, they talk a lot about how they used what Jimi Hendrix was doing with his guitar for some of their songs.
Yeah, for sure. You can see that, I think, in some of the guitar solos, or probably a lot of the guitarists that played for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
But again, and I think, like you were saying, Spencer, with Electric Ladyland, I kind of agree with that, though. Because that had Voodoo Child on it and whatnot. So I think you can argue that's probably a better... Too. Yeah, I think that's a better album, but I guess in terms of like people just hearing like who is this guy kind of deal, I think it makes sense to put this album there.
Yeah, I'm mad at it. Yeah, that's good.
Number 62, All Eyes on Me, Tupac. All Eyes on Me.
Yeah, this one's interesting because it's a double album, so there's like mad songs.
Yeah,
but, I think I would have gone with maybe Me Against the World. Over this one,
yeah.
But you definitely got to have probably a Tupac album on a list like this.
Yeah,
so nothing wrong with this.
That looks like that was the only one on here as well.
Yeah,
so
that's the only one on here. Love Deluxe at 61. We got Love Deluxe, Sade, 1992.
No idea.
I got nothing for Sade.
Yeah, I'm not. I've heard of her. I think she got a song called "Smooth Operator" that I've heard before.
I think that's Sade. Is it?
Oh,
is that
Sade,
how you spell
yeah,
Sade? Is that how you spell Sade?
I said
okay,
it like
that makes more sense.
I said it like a weirdo.
I wouldn't have known either reading it.
Yeah, I don't really know this album or much of her work, but yeah, I do know people like talk about her like crazy super legend status. So yeah, I guess I'm not mad at this. I don't really like blink twice at that one.
I feel like that was probably a big like album for date nights in the early 90s and around that time. I mean, and you still know "Smooth Operator" is a pretty big song. So.
Yeah. All right, number 60. I think, Nick, I heard you talking about this. What was it? One of you guys was. Number 60, The Velvet Underground and Nico. Self-titled.
The Velvet Underground and Nico.
Yeah, by the Velvet Underground and Nico, 1967. Yeah, I mean,
Velvet Underground, you got Lou Reed, who is he's a pretty famous rock artist, folk artist, and whatnot. And this is another one of those albums that was super influential to a bunch of different people when it came out. Kind of rocked the boat a bit. So yeah, I think that you got to have a Velvet Underground album on here. I think it's, again, I don't even know how many albums they have. I was actually poking through while you guys were talking. And pretty notable also for their involvement with Andy Warhol as well.
Oh,
so they were kind of part of the bigger cultural zeitgeist going on at the time. It was more than sort of just music.
Yeah, good point. That's actually a good pull, Nick. I heard that about them, is that they had that involvement with Andy Warhol. Great Americana painter, right? Andy Warhol.
Yep.
Number 59, the Arctic Monkeys with AM in 2013. I like the Arctic Monkeys. I know they're a little poppy for you, maybe, Nick, but I like the Arctic Monkeys.
This is one of those was it that big of an album that it deserves to be on here already?
I don't think it deserves. I don't know if it deserves to be on the top 100 albums of all time.
Get it out of here. Get it out of here.
Nick says, "Get it out of the face.
No.
Get it out of my face."
Get it out of here.
What do you say, Spencer? What do you say? We'll leave the vote up to you.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to the Arctic Monkeys.
Get them out of my face.
But yeah, they kind of gotta go. I mean,
get them out of here.
There's just too many other like the fact that you got this and you don't have like a Californication by
Chili Peppers. Yeah, good point.
Crazy. So this can't be on.
Good point. Number 58. What's the Story? Morning Glory. Oasis. 1995.
So I personally don't like Oasis. I think it's because they were on the radio too much when we were kids. That being said, I've covered songs by them in bands I've been in before. with friends just playing stuff by them. I think they probably had some of the bigger rock singles of the 90s, if you want to call it rock, or it loosely pop with a little bit of guitar in there. But yeah, I think it's probably appropriate. I don't think I'd put it that high, because I'm realizing we're getting to the mid 50s, and you got, again, try not to look at it through that lens, but they are above the Velvet Underground in here, which, no.
Is that the album with Wonderwall on it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I make a bold statement? I'm sick of people saying that Wonderwall is a good song. Wonderwall is not a good song.
You don't think so?
No.
I get down on Wonderwall.
I can't stand that song.
Dude, how about Champagne Supernova? That song's vibe.
Champagne Supernova I can live with a little bit.
Or dude, Don't Look Back in Anger?
Wonderwall, I cannot stand Wonderwall. I think that song is terrible. It's not
So if you
good.
want to look at it from, and again, we got our computers in front of us, so I'm taking advantage of that, but you're talking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 singles off a 12-song album. So that's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's pretty solid.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty solid.
No, I think they belong on here. I'm just saying, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of probably what is known to be their biggest song and what some people say is like one of the greatest songs of all time. I'm not into it. So, number 57, Voodoo by D'Angelo in 2000. You were talking about D'Angelo before, right, Spence?
Yeah, this is a great album. D'Angelo, I think, only has like 3 albums. So it's a little bit weird to see this high, or maybe even like, I don't want to say on this list because it is really good, but yeah, that's an interesting one. But there's a lot of cool stuff on here.
Let me ask, R&B?
Oh yeah, heavy R&B. There's some hip hop.
Better than Usher?
Ooh.
Get it out of my face.
The reason I can't say get it out is because it's more like it comes off more of like a modern like Marvin Gaye type album. It's like it's more soulful. It's not so much of like going for the pop like mega hit kind of club thing.
I got you.
So it's just like a totally different vibe, but like it's like kind of like maybe if you know type thing.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. So too high? Should be on the list, but too high?
Possibly too high.
Yeah.
I would say should be on the list.
Oh, so you like D'Angelo.
I like D'Angelo.
Oh, okay. Number 56, we got Disintegration by The Cure in 1989. The Cure. Anybody got anything on The Cure?
Yeah, I mean, I liked them a lot in high school. I still listen to them quite a bit. This album in particular, again, I don't know if I'd pick this one, but I'm thinking the reason that they picked it is because it's one of the ones that really broke out where The Cure became like super crazy famous.
They became The Cure.
I know, not really. This is their 8th studio album, so it's a pretty good ways into their career. They kind of go back to even like the mid-late 70s. I think a lot of people think of them as like 80s, 90s because like Friday I'm in Love and some other tracks they had. But this is really the song that broke them out as sort of like almost like a stadium rock band. I know like Robert Smith's quoted as saying, despite his best efforts on this album, The Cure were turning into a stadium rock band. Like he did not, it's almost like one of those, again, and I think another missing artist, not to throw a tangent, but I don't think there's any REM on here either.
There's not any REM.
Yeah, so, but it reminds me of REM Without a Time, where it's like they were trying to do a more artistically adventurous album, and it became a massive hit. Like it had 4 or 5 big singles off it. It probably made them a little bit more of a quote unquote household name in the 90s, late 80s. So yeah, I think you have to have them on there. Again, I don't know if I'd pick this album. I suspect why they picked it is it's kind of the one that really broke them out of the UK more and into the US and kind of internationally.
Yeah. Good point. Anything on The Cure, Spence?
Nope.
All right. Number 55, we got Auntie, Rihanna, 2016.
Yeah, that was right when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Going into my like senior year. That album was definitely massive. Like, and there's a lot of like, I'm looking at the song list, like a lot of probably like number ones coming off of here. It's kind of hard to put Rihanna up as like an artist, like an all-time great artist. Not to say that she's not, but I don't know. It's just a little bit hard for me to make sense of that.
I'll personally say I'm not like there's like this absolute fawning over Rihanna, and I think she's good. Like I think this is not the album that I would have picked, because I think she has albums that have bigger hits, or maybe songs that I like more. Like I think she has become so polarizing. So I think she deserves to be on here, but I don't know if that's the one, and I don't know if it should be that high.
Yeah, I'd put her a lot lower.
Yeah. Number 54, Love Supreme, John Coltrane, 1965. We get into some jazz. We got some jazz. Finally.
Yeah,
I know Nick's been waiting for the jazz.
Yeah, that's definitely gotta be on here for sure. Maybe even higher. Like I would say people who play instruments would say that this should definitely be higher. But yeah, like this, I think this album like kind of just changed the direction of jazz music at the time, and he just like defined a new sound and a new sort of like era for the genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, if you were to start to dig into even jazz lists, it's probably one of the most acclaimed albums of all time. Of really that sort of 70s, well, I guess this was 60s rather, but of that post big band jazz, like getting into smaller groups like Dizzy Gillespie and guys like that, and Charlie Parker. And I mean, he really is one of the he was at the forefront with a lot of those guys of like avant-garde jazz and free jazz, and really pushing the genre in different directions. And I think too, it's like, it's not one of those things like Spencer was mentioning, unless you've probably played an instrument or gotten to that, you probably would never even hear of John Coltrane. But yeah, again, he's up there with Miles Davis probably as far as that status and how legendary he is in that album itself.
Aptly placed on this list, you think?
I think he could be higher, but from
I
would
agree.
From this like a kind of mass appeal, like most people probably wouldn't really get it. It's pretty deep.
Yeah,
it's all instruments too. But from this I think from an impact perspective, it deserves to be higher. But I get why they put it kind of middle of the pack.
Yeah. 53, Exile on Main Street, the Rolling Stones in 1972. The Rolling Stones are still touring, so they've obviously done something right. Exile on Main Street. I don't know if I can speak specifically to every song of that album, but I know they've been huge. They've been huge for a long time.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I'm not the biggest Rolling Stones fan. I respect them for sure because, like you said, they've just been around forever. I can't really talk about how successful that album is versus like other albums they had or anything like that.
Anything for the Rolling Stones, Spence?
Yeah, I'm not really too up on the Rolling Stones. I feel like a lot of musicians that I've heard talk about them really don't mess with Mick Jagger too much. Like it seems like the word is he kind of steals a lot of his his style, the music and stuff from like other artists, specifically black artists, people like James Brown, and things like that. So I mean, but like you said, they've been around forever. They've been big for a long time. So. Yeah, they probably deserve to have some spot on here. I've never heard any of those songs on that album, I don't think. But yeah, I'm not mad at seeing the Rolling Stones.
You got anything else, Nick?
No, I'm pretty much in the same boat on that.
Number 52, Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses, 1987. We got...
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not higher.
Sweet Child of Mine on there?
Yeah. Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, those are some big ones.
That was their debut album pretty much, so.
Yeah. Guns N' Roses belongs on here. 51, Sign of the Times, Prince, 1987.
Yeah, I'm a big Prince guy. This album's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, that's just the song, Sign of the Times itself is dope. And... yeah, I'm just looking at the album Adore. Like, a lot of these are some of his biggest songs. If I Was Your Girlfriend, You Got the Look. The Battle of Dorothy Parker, yeah. So, yeah, that definitely should be on here. And you know what? I heard this story. I was watching this Michael Jackson documentary. I think it was about the making of Bad, and they were trying to get Prince to work with Michael at the time, and Prince was like, "I'm good." Like he was just doing his own thing.
Wow.
And like, who's turning down the feature from Michael Jackson in the '80s when he's like basically the king of the earth?
Somebody that's supremely confident in what they're doing, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Prince is that guy. This might. I don't want to take us on a tangent, but at this point, I'm taking Prince over Michael Jackson.
I mean, we don't need to go on that tangent.
I'd take Prince over Michael Jackson for sure.
Well, easy guys, easy. Well, that's because you guys are guitar. You guys are guitar guys. You guys.
That aside, though,
you guys are like.
I feel like as time goes on,
Prince is like if Jimi Hendrix stayed alive. Prince is probably.
Let's not. I wouldn't go that.
I'm not saying he's
totally
at
different
that level.
guys.
I'm not saying he's at that level. Facsimile.
I didn't mean to say not at that level. I just think he was a little bit more of a different artist than Jimi Hendrix was as well. Mm-hmm. But okay. I meant more from a guitar prowess point. Prince was not Jimi Hendrix. But
fair enough.
He was he's awesome in his own right. And I think you could have a solid episode just debating Prince versus Michael Jackson on there.
Yeah,
probably. But yeah.
All right, we're going to fly through the top 50 because I think for the most part we can agree 90% of these people belong on the list, okay? Except for number 50, Hounds of Love by Kate Bush, 1985.
No idea.
Does this have Running Up That Hill on it?
Yeah. So Kate Bush,
okay.
Her song, her most popular song didn't hit number one until it was on Stranger Things like a year ago, 2 years ago.
It probably hit number one before that.
I don't think it did.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, look it up. But if that's your most popular song, and it never hit number one, how are you on this list? And how are you in the top 50? Nick is doing the research right now. I can tell you he's going to be very disappointed because
just from like a performance perspective, like a chart performance, like they did say they didn't take that into consideration as far as
okay,
things like that go in sales.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead,
so
Nick.
that actually peaked at number 3 in the UK for a while of a single. So it got pretty high up there. It's not like nobody had heard it. Maybe in the US people hadn't heard of it, but in the UK, I think in 85 people were definitely hearing Kate Bush Running Up That Hill.
Well,
she actually had it, and she had a number one single before that. So she definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just missed the bus. It probably doesn't help that none of us were born, but I think she was pretty successful. So maybe we might have jumped the gun a little bit on saying that the album was awful. I did think it was just funny because, like you said, Stranger Things.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like it seems like. Yeah, we could have put that on there.
Yeah. Number 49, we went into this a few episodes ago. And that's The Joshua Tree by U2, 1987. Nick's gone at length about this album. So if you want to hear more about this album, you can listen back to the Nick Goes West Part 2 and listen to what he has to say about the Joshua Tree. Spencer,
and literal Joshua trees.
Yeah. Anything about U2?
No, I've never really listened to U2. I did hear him on like a Kendrick Lamar feature a while back, and I do remember the first time I ever heard of them was like everyone was mad at them because their album just like showed up on everybody's iPhones
which we talked about in that episode. Yeah, they put it on everybody's iTunes or whatever. But.
Yeah, we talked about that in that episode. What a baller move though. I love that move.
I do like Bono a lot though, so I'm totally cool with that.
Okay. Number 48, Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys. We talked about it before.
I don't know if that needs to be on the top 100.
It don't need. I think they should be on the list. I think they were very, very influential. 1989 is when this album came out. I think they were influential for their time. They made a whole like the style of rap that they use. I mean, I'm sure they took it from somebody else, but they kind of made that a whole thing. Like you hear people rap like that, and you're like, oh, that's Beastie Boy style. You know what I mean? It's way too high, I think, but I think they deserve a seat at the table.
Yeah, don't you think they would have put License to Ill instead of this?
Oh, I think License to Ill is a better album, but as we've already discussed, this list is very it's garbage.
Yeah.
It's a garbage list.
I mean, not even to go back to 49, but like I probably wouldn't pick the Joshua Tree. I mean, I'd pick their first album, Boy, probably is the best album by U2, but yeah.
2011, we got Drake, Take Care at number 47.
Yeah, that's a big album. A lot of big songs on there. I mean, Drake is probably I think actually factually he is the biggest artist of like the last 10, 15-ish years. So that's probably his best album. So yeah, I guess okay. I'm alright with that.
Yeah, you got Marvin's Room on there. You got Lord Knows. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's my favorite album by Drake, but yeah, he was definitely. I mean, like you said, he was like the biggest star for the longest time. So he just is getting stranger with his old age. He's doing too much.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kendrick Lamar may have ended his career. I don't know how he comes back from Not Like Us.
The Drake Kendrick Lamar beef is like took over social media for like 2 weeks straight. It was kind of wild. He's too old to be doing that. He's too old. He got too much money. 46, Exodus, Bob Marley and the Wailers, 1977.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah, I mean,
right where he should be, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you got Jammin' on there. Exodus was a huge single for him. So, yeah, I think it's pretty deserved where it is.
Yeah.
I like that. I actually like that placement.
Homogenic by Bjork, 1997.
No idea.
No idea.
I've
heard of Bjork. That's about it.
Yeah,
same. I no idea.
Yeah. Inner Vision, Stevie Wonder, 1973.
Yeah, that's a great album. That's some of his best work.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, when he's making this, he's like, I'd want to say maybe like 20, 21 years old. Something like that. And a lot of people say this is actually his best album. I would argue that it should be higher, especially looking ahead at what's in front of him. Like Janet Jackson, Control, it is crazy. Stevie Wonder.
I don't know if you know this. Stevie Wonder's blind. So that's that in itself is a feat.
That too. And
Yes.
and the thing is too, like Prince, he also played like all these instruments. Like he was doing his own producing, his own writing, like all this stuff. He was just the whole package.
Is he actually blind? There's like a conspiracy theory that Stevie Wonder's not actually blind. Have you seen that?
I was listening to this podcast. They had someone from Stevie Wonder's band on from like back in like the 70s. And they told the story about how Stevie Wonder was like getting into this heated argument with his drummer at the time. And it got so bad, like they needed to fight. So they put a blindfold on the drummer and they fought. And they said, the dude said Stevie Wonder like wrecked him. Just went in on him.
That's because he's got them daredevil superpowers. He can hear everything. He has sight with his vision. I mean, he has vision with his hearing. Oh man! All right, yeah. Number 43, Remain in the Light, Talking Heads. Talking Heads, like I said, they deserve to be on here.
Yeah, I mean, David Byrne's a brilliant musician, a really great writer. He's been involved in so much other stuff other than the Talking Heads, and I think this was just sort of the start of what he was doing. And I like them too because they were a band from Rhode Island School of Design, RISD. That's where they started it all. So,
oh wow,
it's kind of neat. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I don't know if a lot of people know that, but yep.
42, Control, Janet Jackson, 1986.
Raffle.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's a good album, but
too high.
It's not a. I don't think it's a top 100.
Yeah, get it out of here. Get out of my face.
Yeah, I'm gonna say get it out.
Get out of my face. 41, Aquemini, Outkast, 1998. Big time Outkast fan. Aquemini is a fantastic album. I might be more partial to. I don't know how they broke this down, but Speaker Box and The Love Below might be my favorite.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I've listened to Aquemini way more because I feel like I speaking personally, and I'm not as into rap and hip hop, but it's probably one of the first rap albums like I actually listened to from front to back many times. I thought it flowed really well and everything. So it was, to me, it was a big introduction to sort of that. I mean, that kind of deal.
The art of storytelling's on there.
Yep.
Spodioti Dopalicious is on there, which is probably two of their best songs. So I mean, I can't be too mad at them.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. That's good.
Probably, maybe. I mean, Outkast is considered one of the best rap duo groups of all time. With another up there,
they might be the best duo for sure.
Yeah, they're up there with one of the other groups that we have coming up. But maybe a little
Andre
low.
3000 started. Well before Andre 3000 started to do flute sound albums.
Started doing flute albums. Oh man. I Never Loved a Man the Way I Loved You, Aretha Franklin, 1967. This comes in at number 40. Aretha.
Not Aretha.
No, you're
Don't do that.
Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, no, she got to be on here for sure. This is the album that has Respect on it, which is a song every single person knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a lot.
What a voice! What a voice on that woman.
And most people would say she's the best at least female singer anyway, the best female singer of all time. Better than Mariah Carey, Ariana Grande, all of them.
100%.
Number 39, 1994 is Illmatic by Nas. I'm a big time Nas guy, so.
Me too. This is basically pretty much a no skip album, and most people say, or like hip hop people say, this is the best rap album of all time. And this is his first album too, mind you.
Yeah. So we got NY State of Mind, The World Is Yours, One Love. I mean, it's hard to say that.
It ain't hard to tell.
Yeah, It Ain't Hard to Tell is on there. I think that's the last track on there. Like,
yep.
It's, yeah. I can't argue with that. I think he's probably pretty. I think he's a little low because I think there's a couple more rappers that are ahead of him that I would say he might be better than. So
yeah, it should be higher, I think. But yeah, glad it's there.
38 Tapestry, Carole King, 1971. Anything on Carole? Anybody?
Other than knowing of Carole King, not really.
No, yeah, I don't.
One of my coworkers was just talking about this album though earlier, so and she was very passionate about it. So I guess if you know, it makes sense that this is on here. I mean, she's got a cover of an Aretha song on here. I see. So yeah, okay. I guess she could be on here.
All right, let's get to number 37. Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers. Wu-Tang Clan, 1993. I'm a big time Wu-Tang Clan fan. Like,
you need a Wu-Tang on here. For sure.
And this album is insane.
Protection Act, Method Man, Cream.
Yeah, Cream, Bring the Ruckus.
HOD, man.
Yeah, Method Man is clearly probably the best out of all of them. He probably had the best. He probably had the best career outside of Wu-Tang Clan. But yeah, that album is insane. There's so many hits on there. So many hits.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Nick, anything on Wu-Tang, Nick?
Not specifically. I know of them. I haven't listened to them a bunch.
All right.
So I'm just
keeping
quiet on that one.
Number 36, Beyonce with self-titled album, 2013. Yeah. What can you say that hasn't already been said about Beyonce?
Yeah, I remember when this came out. I think I was a freshman in high school. And I think the song was "Drunken Love" was like massive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really a Beyonce guy. I honestly think she's kind of overrated. Got a similar thing to Rihanna.
I'm glad you said it, Spencer, so everybody can come at you.
Listen, I'm here for the smoke. I'm here. I will defend my point.
Yeah, I think she's vastly overrated.
I don't really get where it all came from, but I mean,
either.
personally, I think would take Rihanna over Beyonce myself, but I think Beyonce has 2 albums on here too, actually.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna say anything. She has 2
Yeah,
albums. I agree. She's
at
overrated.
least one of these is going. I would honestly say both of them, but at least one of these has got to go.
Hot take. Take here. I would take Lady Gaga over Beyonce. That's just my hot take.
Yeah.
It brought silence.
I have to think about that for a second. I think I could see someone making the case.
So many more hits.
I think it is even for me though. It is hard to argue with. Like I'm sure she's been influential to people and will be.
100%.
But yeah, I feel
100%.
like people treat everything she does like it's the first time that it's ever been done. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when she dropped that surprise album, people were like, she dropped a surprise album. It's like bands have been doing that for a long time, especially in the digital age. It's not anything new for bands to drop surprise albums. So, but it's because Beyonce did it. It was like the most amazing thing.
Like, I think she belongs on the list, and I probably think she, like, right there, if that was the one album, if we did one Beyonce album, she's probably supposed to be right where she is.
Not that high.
Not
Not that high up.
Okay. 35, we got London Calling by The Clash, 1979. I like London Calling. I like The Clash.
Yeah. Another massive, sort of that first wave of British rock kind of coming over, British like punk. So yeah, you got to keep that on there.
Number 34.
Maybe not that high. I don't know if I would. I'm not a huge The Clash fan though.
Yeah, I think probably like once again for its influence, like you said, big time, Britain rock band, I guess, if we can call it Britain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it was like punk back in that era.
Yeah.
So.
It takes a nation of millions to hold us back. Public Enemy, 1989 comes in at number 34. Public Enemy's huge. Another one, big influence.
Yep.
And Flavor
Flav that feels a little bit high.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
like all time, but yeah, no, big influential group though. So
Public Enemy was like Rage before Rage.
Yeah, exactly. They're like the more hip hop version,
Yeah.
and Rage is like the more heavy metal
Yeah.
thing. But yeah. That's the point.
Number 33, Kid A, Radiohead, 2000.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm a big Radiohead fan.
I know you
if
are.
you've
I was
listened to the
waiting for
podcast
you.
before. I'm huge. So they've got 2 on here too. It's tough to say. I mean, I know I was quoted saying even though you could put one of their albums on here, they were pretty big albums in terms of what people were doing in rock at the time. I think in Kid A, they really made a point to try to put down their guitars and instruments and actually do something totally different. So that's respectable. That being said, I think it's probably more appropriate to just have OK Computer on this list, which is ranked quite a bit higher because that was like one of their biggest albums. It's not necessarily my favorite album, but it's probably their biggest album as far as sales and what it did in culture and stuff. So
Agreed. Agreed.
yeah, Kid A, I mean, again, was Radiohead stretching their wings kind of a bit. It's kind of funny because there were a bunch of 90s or 2000s like rock artists that started to try to sound more digital and start to use synths and keyboards and drum loops and things like that, including the Smashing Pumpkins, who I like. But it was kind of funny to see like Radiohead did this album and then you had a bunch of artists from like Pearl Jam to the Smashing Pumpkins to like everybody, Muse, which was kind of a pretty big rock band. I mean, they all kind of were taking cues from what Radiohead was doing on this album. Yeah.
Agreed. I agree. Number 32, Ready to Die, Notorious B.I.G., 1994. I don't know. I mean, is he this much more higher than Tupac was at what?
I was just thinking the same thing.
Back in the 80s, maybe?
Yeah, like, so was Notorious that much more influential? Like, I don't know.
I think this album versus that one, I would be alright with that because like you got Who Shot Ya,
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Juicy on here, One More Chance,
Big
Warning, Big Papa. Yeah, you got some like a lot of his best stuff on here.
Yeah.
Versus that Tupac one. So I don't know if it should be this much higher, but yeah.
Yeah.
It could be on here though.
No, for sure. I think it definitely deserves to be on here. And all those songs you just named, that was like 5 or 6 songs that are like all bangers that still play today. So it has to have some meat to it. 31, Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette, 1995. I think this is her only album. It's fantastic. Go ahead, fact check me, Nick.
It's her only album?
Yeah, fact check me. This is her only album. This is all she did. She did this, and then she dated Uncle Joey.
Yeah, Uncle Joey. I was hoping somebody knew that story. Yeah.
She dated
Uncle Joey from Full House.
They broke up. She made this
album.
album.
Real life, Dave Coulier.
Yeah, Dave Coulier.
I'm gonna fact check you, Josh, and you're wrong.
Am I wrong? What's her other album?
Yeah. So she actually had, I think this is actually her 3rd studio album, but it looks like she had at least 2 other albums. She had an EP called Space Cakes, and she had one in 92 called Now Is the Time. So she did have other stuff. Not that they were nearly as successful as these, but yeah, I mean, this is I mean, what do you got? This is like you threw out the term earlier, Spencer, a no skip album. It's kind of a no skip album. There's not really a bad song on it. Definitely like just when you think you've heard all the hit songs off this album, you're like, oh yeah, there's that hit too.
Yeah.
So
she's probably
yeah,
where she should be on this list.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too high.
I think too culturally she was kind of really changed a little bit of that there's sort of female rock star outlook. Like I know there's a famous story where she, along with her bandmates, actually had a competition on tour to see how many people they could sleep with, which is actually a little behind the scenes. But I think she sort of changed the idea of what you could do and what was appropriate and what you talked about and stuff like that, especially for like a female rock artist. So I think she broke the mold a bit.
Wild.
Man, what must Uncle Joey have done to her to have her write that song you ought to know about?
He busted out the chipmunk puppet. Oh man.
That's awesome.
Number 30, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Billie Eilish, 2019. Don't know too much about Billie Eilish except that she is super viral.
That's gotta be out of here.
Yeah, super viral.
That's like F out of here. Like this is crazy.
Yep.
Get it out of my face.
Yeah, I mean, aside we were talking a little bit before we started recording, Spencer. Like I have respect because she is younger. She's producing her own stuff, and her brother really helps her out and stuff, produce stuff. But it's like I don't get the fascination with her. I don't understand it. I've tried to give it a chance. I've downloaded some songs or listened to them on my phone, and I just don't. I don't get it. And it's 2019 to me. Just get it out of here.
Yeah,
Get the F out of here.
Get it out of here.
And think about all the other albums that we just named that are behind that. Yep. Like Stevie Wonder, Inner Visions, Exodus, Bob Marley is behind Billie Eilish. Like, what are we talking about?
I don't get the fascination with it. I don't understand it.
Yeah. That's because you're not an angsty teenage girl right now. So.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, number 29, The Low End Theory, A Tribe Called Quest. I can't speak too much about this one. I am a fan of Tribe Called Quest. I just can't speak too much to this album.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Tribe fan. Second album right here. You got Scenario. You know, everybody knows that song.
Oh, Scenario's on there?
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's a scenario?
Yeah, and this was like a big moment for like the whole kind of jazz hip hop intersection of like having like the jazz samples and all that stuff. And as far as Q-Tip, who's kind of like one of the main guys of the group, the main producer, like he hit just this album and his impact is like what gave us like the Kanye West of the world and the Timbalands and the Pharrells and all those guys. So yeah, definitely a game changer.
Good point.
Could be high though. Could be high on this list. Number 29 all time.
Yeah, but just making that point that you just made about how it influenced all these other guys to do what they're gonna do, and there's guys that are on here that you just named, I think that are higher than this. So no, that's a good point.
Yeah, I wish they would have made this list in genres instead of doing it all encompassing, because that would just make it so much more. I mean, I want to say objective, but it would just make so much more sense. Because it's hard to compare these because they're all just so different. Like,
Yeah. Number 28, we got The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, 1973. Once again, Pink Floyd, they're just already one of the greatest bands of all time. So,
yep.
This, I mean, besides the fact of being one of the best selling rock albums of all time, probably the most influential one. If not, I mean, it was up there at least for that period in time. I think it belongs a lot higher than that. I think even in a mixed genre list, it should probably be in the top 20, especially looking at Taylor Swift's, was it Taylor's version of 1989 is above Dark Side of the Moon. So that's a little weird. that's one of those things that just is those lists just makes me throw it out. But
we haven't even gotten to number one yet.
Yeah.
Dude, if I had a $1 for every time I walked past a Hot Topic and saw a T-shirt with this album cover on it.
Oh yeah,
exactly. And I was just about to. It's a great segue to the kind of just the culture of that everybody knows that logo, even if you don't know it came from the album.
Of course.
The basically trying to think, it's not basically the piece of glass like with
the
single beam of light breaking into color. The prism breaking into the rainbow. Like everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album, well put together. Did so many new things, and really, Pink Floyd before that was really like they weren't as commercially digestible, and that kind of put out some big singles for him. And in addition to just being a good free flowing album, I think it's one of the most perfect examples, I think, at least in rock, anyways, of a good album where it just one song flows into the other. There's kind of a central theme going on, and I don't just mean like conceptually, like. But actually with like the music in it itself, it's kind of repeating riffs and it calls back to itself, which is super cool. And a lot of really talented people on that were associated artists, like singers and stuff, in addition to the bandmates themselves. So yeah, I just think it should be higher on there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Those are really good points. Number 27, Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin, 1969.
I would have put Led Zeppelin 4, but Led Zeppelin's, you gotta have something Led Zeppelin on here, so I'm not mad at this.
Yeah, I agree. I would have thought that 4 would have been on this just because of Stairway to Heaven and how influential, like, I mean, everybody knows that song to a degree. I feel like it's kind of hard not to know it. I like Led Zeppelin 3 a lot. I also like Physical Graffiti a lot, which was a double that came out later. But yeah, I mean, on this, you got a whole lot of love on there. You got Heartbreaker, Ramble On, the Lemon Song. Like, it's kind of just... I think each of these were a hit. And the other big thing, too, and maybe that's partially why it got on here, is, I mean, that showed kind of that Led Zeppelin wasn't a one-trick pony. Like, their first album was huge. And they would just continue cranking out albums, pretty much. Really, really successful albums for years to come after that. And... yeah, I mean, not much more to say. You got Robert Plant, who debatably probably the best rock male vocalist that's ever existed. I think everybody from Steven Tyler, there's so many artists that try to sound like him afterwards.
Yeah, then you got Jimmy Page on guitar.
Yeah, and Jimmy Page.
Either the best or second best guitarist.
Yeah. I mean, John Bonham on drums. I forget who played bass. His name is escaping me. But yeah, just epic.
Nice. Number 26, we got My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye West, 2010. And I don't know, man. This is not my favorite Kanye West. Kanye deserves to be on here, and regardless of what's happening with him now, but like Kanye deserves to be on here. I think Graduation is his best album. I think that was a no skip album for me. So to put this one at 26, I think it's way too high. Like I said, I think he deserves to be on the list, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I would agree on Graduation. I like that album a lot. This one's good. Like, is obviously great too. I have heard a lot of people say they think this is his best album. So it makes sense that this is here, and like the amount of features and things that he has on here, the amount of like collaborators, I think probably push it up there too for a lot of people. So I'm not mad at this being here. Yeah, the placement is pretty high. But like I said, like if this was just like a rap list, like it would make sense. But
yeah,
you add all this other stuff, it's hard for me to make sense of this.
Yeah. 25, we got Kind of Blue, Miles Davis, 1959. We got a little more jazz on here. No ska on here. What's up with that? No Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. No Real Big Fish.
Ska.
No Big Mountain.
Kind of Blue, Miles Davis, 1959. This is obviously way before our time. So I can't even speak to anything on this album, but
this is definitely one of the best. This is maybe the best jazz album of all time. And if you look at the cover and look at who's in this band, like this is like the Jazz Avengers. Like you got John Coltrane in this band, Cannonball Adderley, Miles Davis all together. Like it's a pretty crazy time. And this is before John Coltrane became like the legend that he is now. But the fact that they were playing together is pretty insane when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't realize this album was that old, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, like you just said, Spencer, I don't think you couldn't argue against it being the best jazz album of all time. At least in that, I think anybody that's super into jazz probably would agree with that. I think it's a crux in a lot of ways. I think it pushed the envelope a lot. It was palatable to a lot of people. Yeah. I feel like this is a little bit like they were like, oh yeah, we need another jazz artist in here where they put him, but yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. I mean, I've heard people say just from like a musician's perspective that this, Miles Davis with quintet or quartet here is the best band that's ever existed.
At number 24, we got the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, David Bowie, 1972. Nick, I know you're a big-time David Bowie guy. I love David Bowie.
I am.
Spencer, what do you think about David Bowie, Spence? You like David Bowie?
Yeah, I'm not super up on his music, but yeah, I like what he's still for, and I know some of the stuff.
Nick's going to tell you all about it right now.
Not all about it. I mean, I thought it was interesting they chose this album, and I'll be completely honest with, I have this album, I've listened to this album many times. I don't have every album in his catalog. I've probably spent more time listening to greatest hits and stuff. This to me, again, like the Kind of Blue almost was like, they're like, oh crap, we forgot David Bowie, let's pick this album on there. I know this was super popular. It wasn't well received when it came out, but it kind of became sort of a cult album after a while, and going back into the culture of the time, the whole story behind that is he kind of came up with this alternate personality that he was playing called Ziggy Stardust, who is generally like an androgynous.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to read it and trying to think that word correctly and double checking myself. No, a little bit on Wikipedia, but it's well said, but basically a fictional androgynous and bisexual rock star who sent to Earth and blah, blah, blah. But you can read about it more online. But that was kind of big at the time because I think artists too, like especially rock artists, going out and playing loud guitar and stuff like that, and also being like sort of openly bisexual, which he was. I don't know if he really opened. I don't know if people realized it at the time, like what he was trying to do with that, but I think that probably took some stones to do that, and it was probably just big towards that whole sort of LGBTQ plus movement at the time.
I would imagine.
So and I mean, dressing up on stage, playing in front of people every night like that, and in addition to doing it on a really cool concept album, like it's pretty neat.
Yeah, he crushes it. David Bowie, he's just so unique. Like great voice. I don't know what else could be said about David Bowie.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this old interview he was doing with MTV back when they were new, and I forgot what they asked him. I don't know. They're like, "Oh, tell us about the latest album," or whatever. He goes, like actually, I just really curious to know why don't you guys ever play black artists on here? And I was like, wow, this dude did not care. He's out here. That was not part of the media training.
Yeah, was that I was watching something. I think Melissa was watching that the other day. Is that like on what you're talking about, that interview? Is it on like this documentary?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think I probably saw it in something about Michael Jackson, because that was like pre Thriller.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome. Number 23, we got Discovery by Daft Punk. I don't know what you would call Daft Punk, techno. I don't know. But I love Daft Punk. This album has One More Time on it. Digital Love, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. They had somebody do a whole basically anime series, I guess, for basically every song on this album. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, number 23, Daft Punk, 2001, Discovery. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Daft Punk? It's too high. I will say it's way too high, but I think they deserve to be on here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll default to you. I'm not sure about. I don't know them like well enough. I should say I knew their newer album that came out. Not so. And I say not so long ago, but it was probably like 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, I guess this is like the EDM representation.
Almost.
No.
Not quite.
No.
Not quite. Number 22, Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen, 1975.
Yeah, that's iconic. Maybe even a little bit low.
Yeah, it might be low. It's funny because I was just perusing over here a little bit, but it's pretty arguably, I mean, it's one of the best albums of the 1970s, rock album anyways, and potentially one of, from an album standpoint, probably one of the better rock albums recorded. And I say that not as a massive Bruce Springsteen fan, but I think the song Born to Run in itself is awesome. And the album's solid back to back. I've listened to the album a bunch of times, so yeah. It's solid. Bruce, you can't really say much more about Bruce Springsteen.
You can't say
either.
much
He's still
more
kicking
about
around.
Bruce.
He's still touring.
Yeah.
He has so many singles and hits, and this album was just very, very solid. And kind of really solidified him. And true that, I mean, the E Street Band and Steven Van Zandt and all those guys that were, I mean, he was surrounded by fantastic musicians in addition to being talented himself, which kind of just makes this a really great album.
Yeah, that's well said. Number 21, considered one of the greatest bands of all time. We got the Beatles at number 21 with Revolver, 1966. Eleanor Rigby's on here. Yellow Submarine. Good Day Sunshine. And
hard to argue that. I mean, yeah, it's the Beatles. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough to argue. I'm actually not a giant Beatles fan either, but I don't think you can really argue with much against.
I know
you could say maybe like Rubber Soul or like one of their other albums, or some people might even say like Sgt. Pepper, but yeah, one of those albums. Honestly, any of them.
Yeah, I think you couldn't go wrong. You just throw a dart at a wall, and it's the Beatles.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't go wrong having them on the list.
Yeah, and I mean you could get Abbey Road up higher, so just 3 below Lauryn Hill.
Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, 1966, coming in at number 20. Pet Sounds, Nick. Pet Sounds. I know you're a big Beach Boys guy.
I'm not a huge Beach Boys guy.
I know you're not. I know you're not. But you got Wouldn't It Be Nice is on there, and that song's in everything. Commercials, movies, elevator music, like that's a big hit.
Yeah, they have such an iconic sound. Like,
yeah,
you as soon as you hear a song, you hear that singing, like you immediately know who it is.
It's almost like barbershop quartet meets doo-wop, and it's like the Beach Boys, and it's just like that California.
Well, you're thinking of that too, but the album itself is actually kind of a more experimental rock album, which is kind of interesting. If you do poke around a little bit, I listened to it once a while back because I think I was watching some sort of music documentary and they sort of mentioned how influential it was.
Yeah, I think worth mentioning too is on Rolling Stone's top 500 best albums. I think they put Pet Sounds at like number 2 or 3. Like,
yeah, it's probably depends like where they fall for you. But yeah, I think this is a very iconic album and probably deserving of where it is.
Nice. Number 19, we got The Chronic by Dr. Dre, 1992. Yeah. Dr. Dre, obviously great producer. Is he a great rapper? Is this a great album? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, you got the beats are crazy, but like a lot of these songs, like Let Me Ride, You Need Nothing But a G-Thing.
Yeah.
But other than those two, Like, I don't really need the rest of this.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, is it just me or there isn't a lot of hits on this?
No, yeah, I would actually probably flip them and Snoop Dogg if we're gonna put it up this high. I'd probably
Yeah,
actually rather
yeah.
have Doggy
I'd
Style.
put Illmatic above this too.
Oh, I'd put Illmatic above this as well. I think this is way too high. I think he's
I would think
And Wu-Tang.
certainly Eminem's album. I was gonna say too.
up higher. Yeah,
Probably
way-
be a fair swat.
Yeah. But obviously great producer, like has obviously kind of helped a lot of artists get to where they are in their fame. Is that deserving of his album being one of the best of all time? I don't know about that. So
Yeah, I feel like they were trying to just give a nod a bit to him in this because of how many artists are on here that he helped produce or
Right.
influenced.
That's true.
I mean, literally NWA and. I mean, you got, I feel like they were just trying to give him a nod. I think it was weird though, like to him, it's like just this album doesn't belong that high. Like, there's no way.
I wouldn't put that above a Kanye album either.
yeah, oh definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
Number 18, 1989, Taylor's version, Taylor Swift, 2023. No thanks.
I hear too much about Taylor Swift. Just get her out of the
Yeah,
list.
no thanks.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor belongs on the
Listen.
list, but no thanks.
Yeah.
No thanks.
I think
Spence,
it's tough to view
Taylor?
it through a lens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could maybe name 3 Taylor Swift songs. I just am not like up on her like that, but I mean, yeah, there's no question. I mean, she's super duper popular right now. I mean, she has been for a long time, so it makes sense for her to be on here. At what spot she at? 18 is a little crazy.
How is this
thinking
album?
about the stuff that she's
This album came out last
above.
year.
Well,
No, I think
redid it.
she re-recorded
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't have rights. I believe the backstory is she didn't have rights and wasn't getting paid off a lot of her music because she probably had shitty record deals at first. So she went and
Yeah.
re-recorded it herself. But to show like how loyal, I mean, you can't take away from her loyal fan base. I think just the whole, we're living in like the height of hysteria about Taylor Swift right now. I feel
Yeah.
like, or maybe it's just going to keep going for a bit. But
Yeah.
I think you need some time to look back in 20, 30 years. And I have a feeling that there's going to be this group of folks that were like a 10 to 15 year age range, and they're going to be absolutely in love with Taylor Swift, and nobody else is going to care or know about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I feel is going to happen.
That's a good
I
point.
think with the
Hot
Taylor's
take.
version
Hot
thing
take.
too, though, like all those songs already were kind of like out in the world, like they existed and were hits.
Yeah.
So like she got like just re-recording them and now that like having this crazy resurgence, it feels like kind of like a cheat code, really. And like if she hadn't done that, like would this even be on here?
Yeah, it's a cool. I think why they put it on there here absolutely is because of that story of her re-recording it. I think that's probably what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like if Michael Jackson was still alive and he like just re-recorded Thriller or something for like the same reasons and he like tripled the sales of it. You know what I mean? Like does that
That'd be
make
so
it a
crazy.
better album?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Not number 17, What's Going On? Marvin Gaye, 1971.
Yeah, I have no qualms.
Yeah,
with that.
once again,
I'd put it higher. But,
what can't be
but
said
yeah.
about Marvin Gaye? Number 16, Blue, Joni Mitchell, 1971 as well.
Don't know much about Joni Mitchell, but I feel like she was almost like a sort of Taylor Swift of her time. Or I feel like she's like what Taylor Swift like really wants to be.
Yeah,
like the
I'd
kind
say
of the
that
singer songwriter thing.
that's a good take. I mean, she's a great singer songwriter. Was kind of, I wouldn't say pushing the envelope. She reminds me, she's almost sort of like a Neil Young, a female Neil Young kind of deal. Not as successful as Neil Young was, but I think she definitely deserves a spot up here. I don't know if it's that high. I like Joni Mitchell quite a bit. I know a few people that are massive Joni Mitchell fans who might disagree with me a little bit, but I just don't think her albums are known that well, even to people who are like musicians and stuff, that she deserves to be that high up on the list.
Yeah.
Agreed.
21 by Adele, 2011. Adele, I think she deserves to be on the list. Once again, I don't know about if she deserves to be this high.
I mean, you got Someone Like You, Set Fire to the Rain.
Big
Rumor
hits.
Has It, Rolling in the Deep.
Yeah,
like,
big hits.
Massive
Hits. 15? Maybe not.
Yeah, it could slide down a little bit, but
Top
yeah,
25. Top 25.
Yeah, sure. That was a great artist.
Number 14, Highway 61 Revisited, Bob Dylan. I'm not a Bob Dylan fan, so you can
I don't
skip
really
me
know
on
much
this one.
about him. I know other than that, just him being like an icon, but like I don't really know his music.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I've heard a lot of his music too, and I still see him as an icon. I think he was more of a poet than ever really a musician, which is cool, but
good point.
I never thought he really had a particularly good voice. He couldn't really play guitar particularly well, and I think he's almost like he just was in the. This sounds bad, like we might get some heat, but I feel like he was in the right place at the right time when he really started to become famous.
Yeah, especially for number 14 on this list, you're definitely going to get some heat.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take some hate for sure. I mean, he influenced a lot of people. I don't know. I always like to think of like he had songs like All Along the Watchtower where like Jimi Hendrix sort of ripped that from him and made it like a hit single, and Bob Dylan, nobody would even like, a lot of people probably don't even know that that's a Bob Dylan song.
I never even
Yeah,
knew that.
that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, I might even take it a step further and say, like, to your point about being in the right place at the right time, I feel like Elvis is a great example of that too.
Yeah, for sure.
I can agree with that.
I mean, I think if like Bob Dylan wasn't around in the 60s during like the hippie movement and things like that, he was a product of that too, obviously, but I feel like he's more of he has more of a cultural like reverence than he actually was a good artist at the time.
Right.
All right, number 13, we got The Blueprint by Jay-Z, 2001.
This is way too high. There's no way this should be higher than Illmatic. And above Low End Theory and 36 Chambers is crazy.
I was waiting for you to say something about that.
No, I mean, if this has got to be on the list, like, okay, but this has got to go way down. It should be in like the 70s.
Yeah. Listen, it was big. I listened to a lot of it. 2001, like I'm like whatever, 11 years old. So I listened to a lot of it. I agree. Too high. Jay-Z is obviously huge rapper, but yeah, too high for me. Number 12, OK Computer, Radiohead. Like you was talking about before, Nick, this is their second album on the list. This is 1997.
Yeah, I mean, that had a bunch of hits off it with Paranoid Android, No Surprises, and you kind of could go on, and it was a fantastic album front to back. I think they've kind of always been changing their sound a little bit over the years. I get why they put this. It's not my personal favorite Radiohead album. I think Hail to the Thief is a lot more adventurous in the stuff it does, and as they continue to develop in their sort of their sound, they got a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I'm okay with that being there. I think you kind of have to have it in the top 20, 15, 20.
Yeah,
for sure. Even with the other genres in there.
How about number 11, Rumors, Fleetwood Mac, 1977.
Just so many hits.
I love it.
Should probably be higher.
Yeah, I love Fleetwood Mac.
This definitely cracks the top 10 easy, maybe even top 5.
Yeah, I don't think you definitely couldn't pick a fight with me over that. I wouldn't argue with you on it. I think it's just too much of an album. Like it really is. It's just too good.
But now tell us what number 10 is, Josh, and tell the people and the fact that Fleetwood Mac is behind. Rumors that Fleetwood Mac is behind.
So Fleetwood Mac. Really first of all, Fleetwood Mac. I think yesterday when we were talking about doing this, Spencer, you were like, "Oh, I don't even know if I know any Fleetwood Mac songs," and you've come.
No, I knew this album. I knew about this album. Though, and like I didn't know the names of the songs, but I knew the songs.
Once you see them and hear them, you're like, "Oh yeah, I know every single one of these songs." But,
Exactly.
But number 10 is Lemonade by Beyonce, 2016. What, like you talked about before, this was the surprise album, right? The surprise dropped album. Yeah, get it out of here. Get it out of my face. Get it out of my face. And the fact that it's in the top 10 is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. That might be one of the most ridiculous things on this entire list. Especially seeing it next to Rumors. It's just crazy.
Number 9 is Nevermind by Nirvana, 1991.
Yep.
Not a bad thing to say about Nirvana, I don't think.
Yeah, sounds about right. Smells Like Teen Spirit. I mean, just that song alone.
Yeah.
I mean, Come As You Are, Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's tough to Polly. Like it's really tough to argue with that one.
Yeah.
I think Polly's on that.
Well, let's argue about number 8, Back to Black, Amy Winehouse, 2006. Better than Nirvana.
Yeah, no. I don't know that. I don't think it cracks the top 10, but top 30. Like it's a good album. There's like a lot of good songs.
You're giving Amy some big respect here. Some big respect.
Yeah. I think she deserves it.
R.I.P. R.I.P. to Amy.
Yeah, top 10 above these, like some of the other albums we've gone through it's kind of hard to put there.
This top 10 might be the worst top 10 of all time. Number 7, Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick Lamar, 2012.
Nope.
So I didn't even get it out. Let me finish.
Because this is an audio medium, though, I just want to point out that Spencer just put his head down into his hand for a second and said, no. All
right, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
I mean, if you were going to put a Kendrick album, it should have been To Pimp a Butterfly, for one thing. And either way, it's not a top 10 all time. That's just crazy.
Number 7.
That's just ridiculous. If you want to argue top 100, like fine. But again, Illmatic, Low End Theory, 36 Chambers, how are those that low and this is number 7? I mean, and it's a great album too. Don't get me wrong, I like Kendrick Lamar, but that's just a crazy placement for this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a big Kendrick Lamar guy. I like some of what he's got. But yeah, to put him this high on this list, first of all, and then an album that's probably not his best album. Yeah, let's get it out of here. Number 6, Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder.
Now they're getting back on track with that. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, we already talked about Stevie.
Yeah.
So we can all agree on that. Blonde, Frank Ocean, 2016.
No, that's. I don't even know if that's top 100. I was talking about that with my coworkers because we were talking. I told her that I was going to do this tonight, and she was like, "Oh, but Spencer, it's such a moment. Like this black guy coming down and he's gay and he's like singing about it." And I was like, "That doesn't move me."
Yeah.
Not top 10.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Frank Ocean was somebody else. So yeah, this is This is no good to me. This is no good. Get it out of here.
Number 5.
Number 5.
The 5th best album of all time.
Number 5.
By Frank Ocean in like 2016. That's crazy.
Is insanity. Yeah, it's insanity. That doesn't make any sense.
Wild. Number 4, Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution, 1984. Fantastic.
Yeah. Great album. That's, yeah.
Top 5?
I'm not mad at being top 5.
I'm not mad at being top
definitely
5,
top 10. Definitely top 10.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm thinking top 10. I wouldn't argue about top 10. Top 5, I think some of the stuff that's been on here, it's tough. It's tough to say, though. I feel like it's more equals rather than, again, not seeing it as ranking higher than that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to argue with that one.
All right. Number 3, Abbey Road, The Beatles, 1969. Once again, what can be said that hasn't already been said about the Beatles?
Yeah.
Deserving of 2 albums on here, probably, maybe.
Yeah,
way more than anybody else that has 2 albums on here.
Well, we're gonna get to the next one, and this person only has 1 album on here and probably deserves 2 albums on here, and that's at number 2. We got Michael Jackson with Thriller in 1982.
Yeah, it's a placement that makes sense, but I feel like if you take away, just based on what the people said this list was based on, which is the story of the album, what is the story of Thriller? What is actually
It's sold a crap ton of copies. That's the story.
No,
yeah,
I don't know.
How are these songs connected to each other?
Well, listen,
what's
the
happening?
story of the album is it's in the movie theater. He's taking his girlfriend on a date to the movies, and then he turns into a werewolf. That's the story. And then the zombies come out, and they all dance together. That's the story of the album.
Great. I mean, obviously a great album. But,
yeah.
If you take away like the sales part and the music videos, I mean, because I guess the music videos are part of it, but that like just the songs themselves, which are great. Like I don't know that it would be number 2. I think Off the Wall is his best album, personally, but it makes sense that those here.
Yeah, I mean, I've never just sat down and listened to Thriller like front to back either, but I think this is almost one of those like you kind of have to acknowledge the sales, because it's funny. I figured I was pulling up and doing some research. So if you look at a best-selling album list, like he pretty much Thriller by Michael Jackson pretty much comes up everywhere. And I mean, in the amount of copies he sold, like is significantly higher than anybody that was even close to that album. So, and I don't know too if a lot of that's with the music videos and stuff that went along with it. That might have been one of the first albums that used that really well to like market itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I feel like everybody's seen the Thriller video and things like that, and that's a big part of the imagery that comes up in people's heads when they listen to that album.
The jacket, the dance, and stuff.
Yeah, and it culturally obviously that did a lot. Yeah, it's not long.
Out of the 9, I mean, probably 7 of these are like, I don't want to say number 1s, but definitely were top 10s.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is crazy.
You guys ready for number 1?
Nope.
We already spoiled the last episode, but here we go. We go.
Number 1. With a bullet, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill, 1998. The number 1 album of all time, according to Apple Music. Let me just say this first. Love Lauryn Hill. Big time Lauryn Hill fan. This album won 5 Grammys. Lauryn Hill won 5 Grammys because of this album. This does not even belong in the top 50. Maybe in the top, I'd put it maybe in the top 25, 30. But to say that this album,
I think that's still a stretch.
To say that this album is the number 1 album of all time is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, whoever made this list needs to make an apology video. We need something. Like I just don't understand how you put about all those albums, Purple Rain, Abbey Road, Thriller, Songs in the Key of Life. I mean, that's really crazy. And it is a great album, but like you said, Josh, like top 25, top 30, okay. Like I'm all right with that. Because I do love that album, but it's not number 1. It's not seeing the top 10.
No, it's not even close. And I don't even know. I don't even know how you can even get to this point. I don't know what the influence is that this has done. Maybe I'm just ignorant to what it is, but yeah, there's many artists. There's artists that haven't even cracked this list that probably deserve to be on there more than Lauryn Hill does. But
I feel like this album is on like the same kind of level as like that D'Angelo Voodoo album. It's probably better, but not that much better.
Yeah,
and that was like way back. That was what in like just kind of starting to crack into top 50.
Yeah.
So it should be somewhere around there.
And
I think
I had this cassette like back when cassettes were a thing. Like I had this cassette and I listened to it all the time. Like every time I got in the car. But there's so many things that I could say are better than this, that I'd enjoy listening to more than this.
Yeah, and it's funny. So I did end up looking before we kind of got together, but I actually was reading the Wikipedia page on just about this album and everything, and I can't tell you, like, there was no crazy story or anything that really stuck out to me particularly. Yeah, other than that's their own solo album. She kind of bounced after doing this.
Yeah, it was kind of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was it.
It was one and done.
Like an MTV Unplugged album, and that's it.
Yeah, it was her first album, her only album. Like, so there's a big hype about it, and then that was it. She kind of called it a day.
And they didn't put anything by the Fugees on here. Like, you would have thought they would put like the score.
Nope.
No, nothing. So Disappointing.
Yeah, my theory is still that someone at Apple high up is a really big Lauryn Hill fan.
They have to be.
If you work at Apple, poke around, let us know. Just look for a poster in someone's office or something going on, because it doesn't make any sense at all.
And you can be a really big Lauryn Hill fan and try to give her a shout out. You don't have to put her at number one.
Yeah, no.
It's like there was a typo. Like the mix got the list somehow got mixed up, and they're like, it's too late. We already did it. We're not going to fix this. Let's send it out.
I mean, maybe this is how they're going to convince her to put out more music.
Yeah.
So, Lauren, we'll put you number one on the list if you promise to show up on time to your shows.
She has
a new album.
The next iPhone, you'll get her free on Apple Music or something. They'll just do something like, we'll give it the movie to you free of a concert video. Yeah, but they have some sort of deal with Apple going on.
All right, we got pretty extensive into this. I know we got pretty deep. We're a couple hours in, but you guys want to talk about snubs? Who's some of the biggest snubs you got?
Yeah, I was just about to ask that if you guys had a list of snubs. I mean, I got a list of I think 9 or 10 here. The first one I have, which I mentioned just a second ago, was "To Pimp a Butterfly," though, by Kendrick Lamar.
Yep.
I got "Continuum" by John Mayer.
John Mayer, dude, good pull.
Yep. "Off the Wall," Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yep.
For Earth, Wind, and Fire, I said "That's the Way of the World." So you got the song "That's the Way of the World," "Reasons," "Shining Star."
The Reasons.
They're big songs.
I put "I Am." I had "I Am" for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yep. Now for Bruno Mars, I said "Doo Wops and Hooligans," which was that first one with "Grenade," but you could probably put 24 Karat Magic or something else.
Yeah.
As far as 2010s artists go, he's one of the biggest.
Yeah, he was up there with Drake. He was holding his own.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Graduation, Kanye West. We said. I put "Star Time" by James Brown, which is kind of essentially a greatest hits album that he did, but still in the beginning of his career because he had that many hits already. I got Led Zeppelin 4. We talked about. I think we probably all agree Green Day should be on here. I had American Idiot.
Yeah.
Maybe you might say Dookie. Maybe
I had Dookie.
Billy Joel, Piano Man.
Yep. Yeah.
Californication, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then I had Bobby Brown, "Don't Be Cruel."
And I love Bobby Brown. I don't know about top 100 of all time, but
dude, do you know how that album was massive?
Yeah.
That album was
maybe I'm not giving it enough credit.
Dude, you're not giving it. You gotta look into that. Bro.
I'm gonna do that when we get off here.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I think you hit honestly most of the ones that I had. I'm surprised. Maybe it was just our time. I'm surprised Linkin Park doesn't have an album on here because they kind of took rap rock,
that's a good pull too.
Alt rock, kind of to the peak of its popularity.
I feel like they were such a generational thing too. I feel like when I remember being in middle school and they were just that was it. In the end, and all their different albums, Meteora and Hybrid Theory, and there were a ton of singles that came off those, and I feel like they were pretty influential. I feel like at a cultural level too. That angsty, pseudo gothic teenager kind of thing going on.
And speaking of that makes me think of Coldplay.
Yeah. There's quite a few on there.
Not on there, yeah.
That's
Coldplay could probably be on there. Did you want to go through who you had for your snubs, Josh?
He honestly, the only one that he didn't get, and it's probably just a me thing, but I'm a big Common guy, so I had Common B on there. I would listen to that album front to back.
That's a good one.
And then I also had Lil Wayne, The Carter 3, another one that in high school, just graduated high school, I would just listen to that nonstop. So no Lil Wayne on there.
You didn't want to mention any Earth, Wind, and Fire?
No, I did. When he was mentioning it, I said I had Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay,
because he had one, and I had Earth, Wind, and Fire, I Am.
I had That's the Way of the World.
Yeah.
So
I had some overlap with you guys too. I'd read Hot Chili Peppers, Californication. Some of these Smashing Pumpkins, I think Melancholy and In the Infinite Sadness or Siamese Dreams. I think those were two pretty. Again, I'm a fan, so this is definitely a little bit biased, but Melancholy was a massive double album that had a bunch of hits on it. And I don't think there's any. It's probably pretty tough to not know at least a Smashing Pumpkins song, whether it's Bullet with Butterfly Wings or 1979. I mean, it's kind of tough.
See,
I think they both had a.
I didn't put the Smashing Pumpkins because I knew you were going to bring them up.
Yeah. So I threw them in there. I kind of mentioned this already, but Pearl Jam 10, that had a bunch of hits. That was kind of the forefront, literally, of grunge rock. So, I mean, that's kind of one of those in there that was huge.
Yeah.
We talked about this shortly before the podcast, but no Sublime on here, which I don't know if maybe that was too much of a 90s thing, but I feel like they were pretty big. Pretty big. I don't know if any album particularly that I'd probably pick. Maybe it was 20 Ounce of Freedom, actually, an album.
Yeah.
Or 60. Yeah, 60
so.
Ounce of Freedom. I don't even know the name of it, but yeah, that had a bunch of hits on it. Kind of in the jazz bucket, the only one that I thought of that I would like to see was Dave Brubeck Take 5. I thought that was a really good jazz album that I'm kind of surprised. Again, I think they just kind of threw the couple bones to the jazz artists where they felt like they had to, and there's probably a bunch more people you really could mention. But again, it's tough in that mixed genre. I kind of get why it's not on there.
Yeah.
Talked about this one, but
it is really hard to just, you're taking every genre and all of us, right? We hold on to some of these, our favorites from when we were younger, and that elicited different emotion from us. So it's like, it's hard to just say, yeah, those are the best albums of all time, because the people that like different kinds of music, well, they have those same feelings. So I can understand why this became the mix that it is. Once again, if you got a whole team of people, I think there should be a better of hashing it out to where these are being ranked. But I mean, we can all agree. I think it's disappointing across the board.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, dude, then the last album I gotta say that probably I think deserves a ranking on here is Carlos Santana with Supernatural.
Yeah, I was gonna say no Santana on there. There's a lot of guitarists they didn't mention. That's a great album for sure.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, the only others I had, so Queen, A Night at the Opera with Bohemian Rhapsody on
Queen,
it. I think
yes.
that even if the rest of that album was out, I think that song is pretty tough to say that song is not pretty iconic. Made it kind of cool for radio signals to actually go like over 3 or 4 minutes. So that was definitely a thing.
Dude, and no Aerosmith is crazy.
Yeah, I had Aerosmith. So just like, I'll just go loosely just through. I mean, they all have great albums, but Aerosmith, I mentioned Queen. I'm a huge Jack White fan, and I feel like the White Stripes were really very much a thing with that look and stuff. The fact that he didn't have like their first album, I think it was just called Elephant, isn't on here. That had a bunch of hits on it. And just, this was more of a genre thing, maybe a popularity thing, so take it or leave it. But there's no mention of like any sort of EDM on here, which I feel like how big like dub step and like certain other types of EDM have really become. I think you've seen some EDM songs sort of reach more single status as the years goes on, but like even there's no Deadmau5 or like anything like they didn't even really like the closest we got was like Daft Punk to like anything close to like sort of club EDM, whatever music, whatever you want to call it, house music. So I don't know. That one I'm not like, the more I think about it, I'm not as argumentative about it not being on the list or anything, but I feel like there's probably at least one sort of album that you could throw in there that was probably pretty influential, especially given some of the other choices on this list.
Yeah.
There certainly could be made room.
I got two I just thought of too.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Childish Gambino and the Gorillaz. I love the Gorillaz. The Gorillaz are like
that first one with or I don't know if it's the first one, but the Feel Good Inc. one.
Yeah.
I think that's their second.
I don't even know if that's my favorite, but just the fact of what they are and how different they are than everybody else, like, and how they and I know maybe it's because they take a lot of different artists and kind of collaborate them with what they do, but I just think that it's so different. Like, they are super popular. How do they not have anything? Not even a shout, not even anything on here. And Childish Gambino, he's super influential. Like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, the only last one I had, and I mean, I probably could keep pouring through guitars, so I'll just cut it off here, but nothing by Eric Clapton or any bands that Eric Clapton was ever in on that entire list, which I thought was kind of crazy. I mean, even his solo, like, I mean, Layla, Tears in Heaven, like, you got a lot of those songs that it definitely dated, but I don't know, like, he's probably in most of those conversations with best guitarist of all time. I don't think he, like, beats out a Jimmy Page or Jimi Hendrix. We could probably spend a lot more time arguing about favorite guitarists, but yeah, I just was surprised that there wasn't sort of a nod to him. It's like they kind of put Jimi Hendrix in there and they're like, okay, we covered all people that are more like virtuoso type guitarists, guys. But yeah, it's, again, I get from a popularity and they had to cut it at some point. But again, a lot of those artists, I think even what you guys mentioned, there was definitely room to take out like 20 artists at least on this thing and swap out some of the ones we were thinking of.
Yeah.
How about Robin? She can go.
Right, yeah, take Robin.
I don't know if that's a man or a woman.
Take Robin out of there. Oh, man. Any final thoughts, boys? Any final thoughts before we get into the descent?
I think this list was made to trigger people. I think we're playing right into their hands, but
it's worked.
It was worth it. It felt good.
we got a good podcast episode out of it, so that was cool. But yeah, you wanna get into maybe a quick sort of descent, or do you want to just jump to a hypothetical? Because I honestly didn't have. Yeah,
no. We'll skip the. We'll go quick. We'll skip the hypothetical. Right. We'll make it a quick descent.
All right.
All right, man. Celtics are in the finals. They play against the Mavericks. I got the Celtics in 5. What do you got, Spence?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the way Kyrie and Luka are playing is pretty tough, but the Celtics, I think, are a bigger team. Like, their backcourt, I think, is a little bigger. So, and their defense is crazy, too. So, yeah, Celtics in 5. That sounds about right. Could be 6. But, yeah, I'm with you.
All right. What about you, Nick? What you got for the C's?
I don't think in 5 because I think the finals always go further than that.
Going 7?
Nice to see in 5. Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
I think so. We'll see.
Yeah, this was an extensive episode. We'll keep it brief tonight, but yeah, we thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, and thanks Spencer for joining us. We know who can fill in on a pinch. In a pinch now.
Yeah. My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
No, great stuff, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And where can the people find you, Spence?
Probably working. Preparing to get married.
Well, you can find us on social media at PUDs Podcast. Please like, review, subscribe, share with a friend. Let us know what you think about this top 100 albums of all time list, and maybe some of the snubs that we had, and maybe some of the snubs that you have on your own list. So let us know. Reach out to us on social media. And until next time, bippity boppity, give me the zoppity.
Bye.
PUDs Podcast was produced and recorded in Black Cat Studios by the Pud Boys. Find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving us a review and subscribing. Find us on social media, and we'll see you next time.